Oh wait. There we go. Just gonna throw out some promos quick. I haven't actually looked at the lineup yet. Who is it?
It is on your screen.
Hang on, I'm setting up promos, so I can't actually look right now. Alright, I'll look. Ooh, Stork is playing. Okay, let's go. This something. It's almost like Protoss is just saying, like, completely just like saying, "Don't worry about the points too much. Let's just throw some people at the wall and see what happens."
Yeah, I'm not seeing a Protoss victory here.
I'm just happy that the players are playing, but I don't see Protoss winning either. You know what I mean? But I'm happy to see Stork, even though he's a bit of a dinosaur.
Yeah, a bit of a dino for sure.
He's the Dinotos.
Light sharp. All right. Russia's been out of the loop for a while, eh? Where's he been at?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would like to see him as well. He's a pretty good player.
Cool to see Saxery. Saxery is actually pretty good win rates.
He's really good. He's one of the better,
Rising
newer
volume,
players. Yeah.
God, his ZVP is pretty rough though. Holy shit.
Who's actually?
Yeah, his ZVZ suck too.
His ZVT is where he shines. He's a really good standard ZVT player.
That's so funny. I'm just looking at the ASL win rates. The worst matchups, Mong has 2 titles.
Yeah, because honestly, like, TVT is like hard to compete with the best unless you're literally like one of the best yourselves. Unless you're like top 4 Terran, you're probably not going to have a great TVT win rate. You know what I mean? Because if you did have
This TVZ win rate is 17%.
Yeah.
It's the worst person, like literally the worst win rate out of anybody.
Yeah, his
and then
is horrible.
Saxery TVP is 21%, which is second worst out of everybody. And then Mong's TVT is third worst, 26%.
Oof.
That is insane.
That's rough.
That is rough.
Yeah, Mong is like an enigma. He's like everything a Terran player shouldn't be. Like really good in TVP and really terrible in elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like he's like an anomaly, glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, he is a glitch in the matrix for sure. Yep.
I think you need to have players like that though.
You know, the ASL and KSL rankings. Oh, it's actually got to be higher than this now, but October 19th, 2023, Sulky is 1 point above Flash. I'm sure he's actually higher than that now.
Yeah, Sulky's been farming, man. Doing well for himself.
Gotta be better than that at this point. Anyway. funny to see.
What do you think about Flash situation? Quickly.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Excited, dude. Farming Flash videos is like tipping my
yeah, for sure.
Overall like view count into a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I'm sure any respectable content creator is going to be doing backflips about that in the Starcraft world, like Artosis especially, from both a Terran bias standpoint and also a content creator standpoint. He's going to be loving it.
It's just killing in the ratings, basically. Yeah, sick.
People want to see Flash, man. He's special. He's a special player,
I mean, yeah. Even as like a bad guy, like a final boss.
Yeah.
Good to have.
I mean, he could. He could force all these. That's the thing. He could not only is he like he's like the final boss, but he's also able to like come up with his own solutions to things in such a way that he either invents the new meta or he forces you to come up with a new meta, if that makes sense. So he'll be driving more interesting things happening, I think, just by being around. People are going to be, all eyes will be on him, and how he approaches the game will be taken notice of by both the respective races on either side. So even if he's playing Terran against Protoss, the Protoss players are still going to be looking to what he's doing, you know what I mean? Because they're going to be curious, like, oh shit, Terran can do that to fuck up what I'm doing, so I need to think about this as well.
Whoa, this is one of the dumbest comments I've ever seen.
What's that?
Holy shit. I posted the Flash's record. Did you see that post? It was like his win rates in all the matchups. He's number 1 in TVT, TVP, and TVZ. 77%, 82%, and 70%. Like, yes, just insane.
Off the wall.
Yeah. And I just asked everybody, like, are you happy that he's back? Are you cheering for him in ASL, or do you have another favorite? And one of the comments was Terran and especially Flash. He typed especially wrong, especially Flash is just boring to watch. As a Protoss player, I have just given up on watching an interesting ASL anytime soon. Oh my god, there's so many.
Yeah. I really. What we need to see Snow versus Flash situations, and to see how Snow does when he's facing someone with that amount of experience and who's cool and collected under his pressure. You know what I
mean? Yeah. I mean, we saw what happened in ASL, but that was years ago.
Yeah.
Snow is like a freaking monstrous.
He is.
Change, like he's changed so much, but at the same time, like those are old wounds, those are deep old wounds.
That's the thing. This game is as much psychological as it is like mechanical skill, right? Like, yeah, and that's the problem. It's hard to get that out of your head. People like Flash, they have this ominous presence about them. Even if they're not playing at their best ability, they still have this kind of like intimidating factor that you have to consider, right?
All right, we should actually do this. Tomorrow, let's do tomorrow. Let's do a podcast and talk about Flash.
Yeah, we should.
Let's just talk about Flash the whole episode. Fuck it, why not? Do a StarCraft one. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I could talk about Flash for a while. I've been watching this kid live grow up. Like, I remember watching his first few games, like when he was, and I was one of the first few people that was actually blown away by him. Everyone else was just calling him a cheesy idiot because of some of his earlier games, and I was saying, no, this guy's a fucking genius. You don't understand. He's fucking stealing his gas and he's fucking converting his minerals to fucking gas so he can mine out the wall faster. This guy's a fucking genius. Like, and everyone else was like, nah, he's just a cheesy bitch, that kind of attitude when they first saw him. Yeah. I was glad to be right about that
fandom one. Was real.
Yeah, it was all biased for Bisu and stuff like that. So when they saw Flash cheese him out, they were all just like, oh, Flash is a cheesy idiot kind of attitude. And I was like, guys, you're not paying attention. He's a fucking amazing player. He went into he went into Naros. I was gonna say he went into Naros. Gone. It's the time delay because you're in Japan. It's like sometimes you're not talking for me. So I'll start talking and then you start talking. Does that make sense? There's like a tiny delay.
Maybe. There's there was that time when he was just working out like 15cc, and everyone was like, "Good God, like he's really gonna do 15cc again, even though he's been killed, but so many times. He keeps losing with it over and over and over again. And he's just gonna keep doing it, or 14cc or whatever, and then finally, there was that one time when he made it work." And then, like, nobody could kill him. He's like, "Oh, I got it now."
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, they were looking at him like, you're just getting beaten up. He was like Rocky, like trying to figure it out. Like, how do I navigate this perfectly? You know what I mean? And he eventually found his balance and kept all the plates spinning. And it's like, oh shit, now he's just got a huge advantage.
He became fucking insanely scary after that.
Yeah.
Massive win streak.
But he was already super scary going into everything. People just didn't know. Like, he went into KT Magician's pro gamer house, and he 2-0'd everyone in, because he's a newcomer, new kid. He's like, I don't know, 14 at the time or something, 13, 14. And they say, like, everyone play against the new guy to see how good he is, right? This is what you do. You bring in a new gamer, and everyone plays. Everyone in the house plays him. Everyone, even the team captain Naura, right? And Naura's playing last because he's team captain. He 2-0's everyone in the fucking gaming house, and now it's Naura's turn. And Naura's like, holy fucking shit, who is this guy? And anyway, Naura goes 1-2 with him. Naura actually took one game off of him. So Naura was the only one in the fucking gaming house that beat him on his first day. Like, coming in, he 2-0'd everyone except Naura, and he still beat Naura.
Damn.
That's some crazy shit. You can't even believe what that's like. Like, imagine being like a 14-year-old kid, and you walk into a pro gamer house and you decimate everyone. Yeah.
Prodigy.
There's a lot of motherfuckers on those teams as well. It wasn't like 5 people. We're talking like dozen plus people,
Prodigy just walked in there and smacked his bitch up like crazy.
Everyone. Anyone could catch those hands, man.
All right, man. Should we go into this?
Let's do it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the KCM. We've got Zerg versus Protoss to start us off here. Game number 1 on Citadel. Let's jump right in. Bringing up the lineup here, and it's looking a little bit like Protoss has given up or something here, Shun. Look at this. Crazy lineup that they put together today.
Yeah.
Such a turnaround from last season.
It's kind of a little bit shocking. Like, usually you'll see like one name thrown in there as like a kind of like, yeah, we'll give this guy some stage time. But this time we've got like 3 names just thrown to the wall and see what sticks. And we even got the Dino Toss himself, Stork, like an absolute fossil of a player. But still, I'm very happy to see him. He's the original King of Silver. I love this guy. Like, he's such an impressive. He used to be known for his carrier control, and this is a map where, unfortunately, he's not. This is a matchup where he might get some games against Terran players. So hopefully, we'll see some carrier action from him later on. And Saxry himself, he's a really good standard Zerg versus Terran player, but he's not so good in ZVP and ZVZ. So we'll have to see how he fares against the likes of Motive.
Yeah, he has the worst TVP win rate in ASL out of any of the players. So definitely
CVP.
struggling in that matchup. Oh, sorry, ZVP, yeah. And I don't want to disrespect any of these Protoss players. I think Motive is fantastic. YSC brings us some great games here and there, but just compared to, like, look at this Terran lineup. It's just insane. Royal Light Sharp, these are, ASL finalists, ASL people that we expect to be in, deep in the ASL every season, potentially winning that. So it's just a bit shocking to see YC Stork Motive after last season, where we had, Mini Snow and Bisu pretty much every week. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like the the OG apes have gone back into the jungle to, like, you know, work out a little bit and like figure some stuff out, see if they can, you know, figure out the complicated puzzles and come back to it, you know, with new vigor or something, and give these other guys a chance to shine who have been training, waiting in the wings for their turn.
Or maybe they got frustrated after, you know, putting out so many great weeks, and then they still have a tough time in the finals. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. We've got Motive here, starting out with a gateway first, sending the first Zealot across that map. It is a overpool here from Saxry, so he's going to have some Lings out pretty soon to be able to deal with that Zealot, but he's having a hard time finding a spot to throw down this third hatchery just yet. He doesn't have the money for it, as he started some Lings here, but he does want to get that hatchery down pretty soon, and the Zealot is going to find this drone. Can he actually get any hits? No. That drone will retreat here towards the main, but he does need to find a location for this pretty soon. Lings are going to come out. Drone coming in to see the natural here. Doesn't see the Nexus, but he has all the information that he needs. That's going to head back home. Here comes that drone. Where's the Zealot? Oh, it went all the way back home.
Yeah, it's kind of wise for him to send the Zealot home here, because, I mean, if he does go like fast into 6 Lings, that can get surrounded and picked off very easily. And with going gateway first, the last thing you want to do... Oh, nice catch on this other scouting probes. Motive did send out an additional scouting probe, but that gets taken out. So now both scouting probes are down. So a little bit of a hit to his economy from that investment. And now he's completely in the dark still. And there's enough speedlings out, or will be speedlings out, I imagine, that he will not be able to get any kind of intel for a long time. So yeah, he's going to be completely in the dark. He doesn't know if this is going to be like a 2-hatch Muta fast tech play, or what. He could be a 3-hatch Hydra. He's going to have no idea about that. So a little bit of a win here for Saxry in the early game.
Well, Saxry pulled off of gas for a little bit there, but he does start the lair. Cybernetics Core is already on the way. Building those 8 Lings early on definitely slowed down his lair a bit. Is he going to have that in time to deal with the Corsairs as they come out, or is this going to be a little bit of a problem? I don't think we started a Forge, or we did start one in the main base, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it could line up to where he's going to have to sacrifice 1 or 2 Overlords, but I don't think it's going to be too significant. I think he'll still line up nicely. It's just going to be a matter of, is he going to try and invest in Mutalisks to deal with the Zealot timing, or is he going to just use that as to make 4 Scourge and go into 6? Oh, he gets a few Speedlings in the wall here. It's actually pretty big, because now we can get into the main base, see the timing of everything, and harass the gas mining of Motive as well. 2 probes already dead on that gas is really big damage.
Ooh, 3 probes go down. This is a big mistake for Motive. He really didn't want to be losing that gateway, but I don't think it was even going to go down before the cannon finished there. He comes out, doesn't pull the probes in time to block this, and now he's losing a lot in his main base. He's going to lose another probe here. The Lings are still going to survive. Looks like that one might go down. No, it stays alive here. 3 kills on that singular Ling, and this is getting really, really bad now for Motive. The investment here of getting Ling speed and 8 Lings before going into a lair, it's actually paying off here. I thought it was going to really hinder Saxry, but it's working out beautifully for him in this game.
Yes, the fact that Motive was so greedy in delaying that cannon, he went for the core first in the wall. Saxry identified that and punished it quite adeptly, I have to say. And the control has been pretty phenomenal from Saxry, playing almost like 500 APM consistently, controlling those Lings while squeezing out drones. He's got pretty good drone saturation across these 3 bases. Now, additional hatcheries starting to be made, so this is by no means like a maneuver to win the game right here, right now. This is simply just giving him a huge economic lead over Motive. He's got so many drones popping out right now, and Motive had quite a few probes killed and was distracted for quite a significant amount of time.
Saxry adding on more hatches now. His economy is looking good. That first Corsairs heading across the map to find out if there is a Hydralisk bust inbound. He's going to see that, no, there was indeed a lair here, and that extra cannon will help him to deflect any Ling run-bys, but it's not necessary for a Hydralisk bust here. Just a bit of extra defense that Motive didn't necessarily need, but here comes those Lings. They're going to try and run by 2 cannons. It's a lot of defense. You're going to lose most of your Lings, so he does back away here. The threat is real, though.
Yeah.
Motive here moving across the map now with, what's this, 6 Zealots, will he make mutas to counter that, or is he just going to stick with Hydra and Ling here to deal with this first attack? Oh man, if he picks off this Corsair, oh,
so
Scourge
close.
was like right inside that Corsair there for a moment.
Giggity. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that didn't connect there. And that was the big question I was asking myself earlier was, will he go for Mutalisks here? And he is going for Mutas, so it's going to be like the 5 Muta play to deal with these Zealots on cleanup on R5 while trying to get the intercept with another pair of Scourge. He is so far locking out 2 connections, but on separate scores might get 2 kills here. Not quite. Does get one of the Corsairs down and injures the other one though, so still a really good trade there for Saxry, reducing that Corsair count. Doing a pretty good job of drone doing, but so many drones actually to go down to the Zealots. So I was thinking about 3 or 4 drones maybe gone down to that attack, so not the most terrible of compensations for Motive, but overall this is still heavily favoring Saxry.
Saxry can just fully drone up now from this position after picking off a Corsair and finishing all of those Zealots. He has so much leeway here to just do whatever he wants, and I imagine what he wants to do is immediately get up into 6-hatch Hydra production, trying to snipe a probe here and there, and he's actually forcing the probes off the gas for now. But as soon as he pulls out here, everything will go back to normal in Motive space. There's the Templar archives to begin moving towards that next layer of tech. But Motive, I mean, he's not going to be able to put on any pressure for quite some time. Saxry can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and he's going to churn out like 6-hatch Hydra weather production. That's like the bare minimal. And in these cross-map positions against Zealot Templar going pure Hydra, you'd be able to just like keep microing back over and over again and just keep baiting out storms, and it would just be too much value for Saxry. We may not even see that. We may see like instead like a bit of an Ogre commitment. We might see a few more Mutas out here. There's quite a handful of Scourge already being made, but yeah, I don't think he's going to commit to like anything crazy in terms of offense. He's just going to maybe consider the possibility of getting like 10 Mutas to snipe High Templars before going in with the Hydras, or he's just going to stay with what he's got now and just pump pure Hydra right now.
Excellent wall in here from Saxry at the natural. If you're wondering what's the best wall in for this map, in that position for Zerg, this is definitely it. Only one location that the Zealots can get through, and with a couple of Lings there, he can block out a lot of those. Managing to hold on with just 1 sunken at each base. Generally, when you go for this 5 Mutalist play, you end up building 2 sunkens, but he's managed to skimp on those extra static defenses, and now he's going to maybe come in here for some snipes? No, he takes a look at those Templar, just backs away. More Hydras popping out here. Is it time for a 4th base from Saxer, or is he just going to, come over here and try to deny the 3rd of Motive?
Well, there's no real need for the 4th base since we've still got him on 2 bases. We could make the hatchery on location, but we probably wouldn't saturate drones onto that 4th base yet. We'll probably be making only... Yeah, he's going to make the hatchery on location, but I doubt he'll saturate that base for a little bit of time. He's going to just care about pumping pure units for the time being, make sure he's in like full battle Zerg mode so he can combat anything that Motive can throw at him right now. And then once we feel more secure, we've won a battle, we've secured a contain, then we're going to like saturate that base with a lot of drones.
Let's watch the gas count here from Saxry. It's at 800, and it's starting to dip down a little bit. If that's going into lurkers, then maybe he will end up saturating that base. That's around the time when the droning is actually possible, right? Is when you're switching into that lurker tech. And then you'll have like a glut of minerals. You can just throw that into a bunch of drones, and at the same time, you've got a very good defensive position. Wow, whole lot of drones popping out here without going into the lurkers first. Wonder if this is going to end up working out. Oof, just lost all of the Scourge there. Trying to get a decent surround coming in from multiple angles, but it ends up working out perfectly for Motive. He doesn't take a single hit, and the Mutas here are actually going to set up for a backstab, hoping that maybe the Corsairs of Motive will go across the map, and then he can come in and try to snipe some Templar. He's going for it right now, but the Corsairs are right here. He gets 1 Templar, but I think that's it. Just 1. Pretty rough for the 5 Mutas there.
Yeah, I mean... This actually might be in a bit of a weird position if Motive was more aggressive right now and trying to set up for a 2-base timing, but he's not. He just wants to take a 3rd base. So this actually works out really well for Saxry being this greedy going into the full drone saturation before even making lurkers. He's got so many Hydras now. He can just like have like 7 hatch Hydra worth of production and maybe try and set up a play for sandwiching this army at the 6 o'clock location, pick off some of these critical high gas units.
There's a few too many Templar here, a few too many Storms to try and take this fight with pure Hydra, but if you just back up and don't allow the Templar to get in range of the big groups of Hydras and pick away at the units at the periphery of the battle, it can still go very well for you. He doesn't take the full engagement here, continuously backing away. You can see he's just right at the edge of where the Storm can be thrown down here for Motive, and picks off a few Zealots here and there while switching into a big glut of Lurkers. 4 bases is where Saxry is going to sit for now. His Corsairs looking for some damage here in each of these bases. I like where Saxry's head is at, having these Hydras at a rally point outside the base and then just having the Overlords here. It really does a good job of preventing DTs from getting into that location while also having the Hydras, not in the base in a position that's not readily accessible. They can just instantly be brought forward to assist or reinforce the position. Saxry sending a lot of Lurkers across the map right now. That's a big group. He's got to make sure not to burrow them on top of each other, though. Look at how tightly these are packed.
Yeah.
If there was a Storm there, these would be absolutely eviscerated, but he's got to unburrow. Got to get out of here. Okay. There we go. He will unburrow. Gotta spread those out a little bit better here, Saxry.
Yeah, just a few good Storms would have ended all those Lurkers. And Saki's a very good macro player, but not so good at these like finer adjustments. So he needs to get more on top of that. Is starting to spread out his Lurkers now. Still a few of them will be doubled up, though, making it a little bit easier for Motive to storm through. But doesn't want to take the fight just yet. Instead, just comfortable in expanding, taking his 4th base and trying to get his own production going to try and combat Saxry, who's in a monstrous position already, going into Hive, already on 4 bases, taking the top left corner as well. He's going to be throwing down more and more macro hatcheries as we progress to the point where he's got about 10 hatcheries worth of production. He's been an absolute beast for Motive to contend with, so he needs his own 4th base as well. Beautiful Storms going down to try and blanket and force back those Hydras. Actually doing a pretty good job of staying out of them for the majority of it, though. And he has such an overwhelming cluster of units that he's able to kind of like force Motive back for a moment. But here comes Motive again, getting not really the greatest of Storms, to be honest with you. And if these, that's a pretty good one. So with just 1 or 2 good Storms, he might have been able to start to get some cost-efficient trades here. But Saxry's got so many units waiting at his rally point that he would never break through. He just needs to get some kind of efficiency going. But he wasn't really getting that. I would say overall the trades are still kind of going in Saxry's favor.
So Saxry's army is going to get more and more Ling heavy here as we go forward because his gas count isn't that high. He's only on 3 gases right now. That 4th base only providing additional minerals is going to go mostly into those Ling and that higher Ling count. Most of the gas right now is going to be going into just a few Hydras and a whole lot of Lurkers. So Saxry having all of those Lings, he's going to be looking for big surrounds here and defending these Lurkers heavily with his Ling count. He hasn't brought any forward just yet. Oh, big Storm on the left-hand side there, but the Lurkers are getting really great spines here. Here comes the Lings now from the right-hand side. Ooh. Can he surround and finish off this army? This is so many units. Scourge coming up, Lurkers coming up, a lot of great damage from those Storms, but full retreat here right now is Motive. More Lurkers more Templar are going to come up, getting a great Storm there. Saxry is starting to kind of bunch up here as he continues to chase this, but he's still got a lot of forces. Oh, these Lurkers on the right-hand side getting absolutely destroyed by just a couple of Storms. Dragoons are continuing to retreat into more and more reinforcements here from Motive. Great snipes on some of these observers, but I don't think he'll get too much more done here. Saxry going to have to back off, try to keep this base in the top left alive.
Yeah, Motive got 2 Zealots punching away at the hatchery in the top left, but they may get dealt with soon. Meanwhile, the supply is currently pretty even, which is very favorite to the Zerg player in these situations. As long as he's trading with like 40 to 50% efficiency, he's going to be in a marvelous position. Yeah, he's just now dealing with this cleanup in the top left, so won't be losing this hatchery as well critically. Has another base going in the bottom right, natural expansion. production. And Motive is just biting off more than he can chew in this game, unfortunately. And it's just an absolute flood of units coming across the map. It's almost Sauron Zerg-esque in the mid game. Absolute like devastating position to be in as pro. So finally he's starting to come out 10 supply ahead and has warded off the attacks for now. Still has this 4 base worth economy going for him. A few cannons being thrown down there. But now here come the Defilers. Here comes going to be the Dark Swarms and eventually the Plagues, which will spell even further disaster for him.
Unreal that Saxory still had 1,500 minerals with the amount of macro that he was pumping out. Just insane amounts of production here. Could even use to add on a couple more hatches, and he will. Another hatch there at the 4th base, another hatch in the top left. He's going to ramp up this production even further as those Defilers hit the field. Lings are going to become stronger and stronger here. Triple upgrades, cranking away. Saxory's macro just about unrivaled, especially by Motive, who's struggling to get above that 150 supply mark. He is on 4 bases, and Protoss can fight on 4 bases for quite some time. He's got a lot of leeway here before he needs that 5th base, but he's already moving towards taking that. And I'm not sure that Saxory can deny this. He is going to secure the top left, maybe even start to spread out down to the bottom right as well, while Motive is focusing his attention over here on the center left and over here in the top left where Saxory has that fresh base.
Yeah, well, this is going to be Motive's lane of attack for quite some time, I think. So it kind of does make sense to expand towards your opponent if you are going to be utilizing this vector of attack. Looks like he's coming out into the center of the map and some units running by on the left to be a little bit annoying here, but those links should be dealt with soon enough. But yeah, with the Plagues coming out and the Dark Swarm to hold these positions, I don't know how Motive's going to break through anytime soon. I think it's a little bit of a mistake to come out in a beautiful Plague on those goons as well, softening those up to be chomped up later. The chili sauce will make those taste even better, and whatever that blue goo tastes like inside, yeah, that must taste nice, right? Like to a Zerg, seeing all that blue goo just like gush out like that must be a treat.
He's doing a great job here fighting the Goon army. It's time to switch up that tech. It's Mass Templar time here with lots of Zealots and maybe even some Reavers coming into play. Once you're on 5 bases, it's kind of a necessity. Ling's just pouring down here towards the bottom left, but Motive going to move to intercept the reinforcements to this army. He just doesn't have any observers with this force, though. Oh, there's an observer popping out just in the nick of time, but a Dark Swarm comes into play. That's going to shut down the Dragoons from being effective at all over here on the left-hand side, but at the same time, focusing down the Nexus. Nexus is going to fall so fast here. He picks it off. That's a big kill. Getting rid of that Nexus is huge. It's still, it's not like we're close to mining out here just yet for Motive on these 2 bases, but he does need to get that down here sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, more and more bases are going to be sprouting up. I mean, Motive is going to have to start playing whack-a-mole like Saxory's doing himself very soon. Have a probe transfer going up to this mineral only, I think. Hopefully to this 9 o'clock base eventually when that gets back online. But yeah, really slowed down in his production is Motive by these onslaughting attacks down this left vector. And there is a further aggression coming out. Another Plague, not the best of Plagues, but it doesn't really matter. Any value is value right now for Saxory, who's currently still even on supply and almost even on upgrades. Motive's 3-2 just kicked him, 3 armor, 2 attack, but Saxory was on 2-2 for a time being, and now he'll have 3-2-2. Or 3-1 on his melee unit soon. So this is going to be pretty insane from Saxory. I'm kind of like speechless by like how methodical he's being. More and more beautiful Plagues. He's slowly sliding these lurkers into position under these Dark Swarms to get into this pocket on the 9 o'clock. But he does not try to win here with this move. He's just trying to trade, get down as many Plagues on this army as possible, keep it weak, keep the head of the dragon as small as possible so it's easier to cut off later.
Yeah, just sending 1, 2, 3 lurkers at a time over here under these Dark Swarms. It forces the storms. You can't clear this with just plagued Zealots. A few Archons can take it out, but he's dealing with the cannons right now in the front. Wow, these Archons are holding their ground pretty well. The Reaver here inside the main base is going to be invaluable as well to pick off those Reavers, or pick off those lurkers and clear out the mass crackling, but Lings are getting here underneath the Dark Storm. They're starting to hit the Nexus once again, and the Reaver actually goes down to pure Ling. Relentless here is Saxory. 1 DT over in the center right. Cleans up 4 drones, it looks like, and is going to get this hatchery, but doesn't really matter. Saxtry's going to take another base here in the top left while shutting down this 5th base. Just waves of units coming out right now from him.
I think Saxtry even saved the base on 3 with some cracklings. This is insane play from Saxtry. He's playing about 400 APM and just relentless onslaught over and over again. Just pure Sauron Zerg mode. Even managing to save that base at the 3 o'clock's kind of insane. Does take a lot of losses to these side storms and these tight bottleneck chokes. Has got an Overlord to spot over the ridge line here. So thankfully for him, he will be able to see what's going on the other side. So he can still get some hits with these lurkers and what have you. But GG, Motive just taps out.
Wow, Motive gives up here. Saxtry just so beastly with the macro. Overwhelming again and again. Motive's pitiful attempts to take the center left. He just couldn't hang on against what Saxtry was bringing forward here. Rare that we see just complete overwhelming from a Zerg player at that level. Even having Reavers and Templar and everything Storm prepared at that base, but it wasn't enough. He just keeps on sending in units. Like, the splash damage is supposed to, on paper, be able to hold a tiny little choke like that, but he wasn't able to do it with the continuous Lurker and Ling running forward. Really, really well done here. Saxtry showing us a different style of Sauron Zerg than what we've seen before. And moving forward here, who's his next opponent? That was his bad matchup, guys. Yeah. That was Saxtry, what he's supposed to be, you know, a very low win percentage. Now he's going to be going into one of his highest win percentages versus Terran next. All right. One sec.
So, do you send out light or royal?
I think they're going to send out royal. I don't know if that's what I would do, but I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, yeah. I think you might be right, but I would probably send out light. Yeah, light's low economy style, high pressure timing attack would do reasonably well at countering Saxtry, and then against these two Protoss players, YSC and Stork, I still favor light, so I think he's a good pick.
Right, okay. Struggling with my words there at the end of that last one. I'm going to sit up straight here. All right. Let's go. Okay, sending out Royal here next. I was correct. Shin was just asking me who I thought we sent out here for the Terran squad. If I was incorrect, I wouldn't have told you guys that. I just wouldn't have said anything. But here we go. We've got Royal down here at the bottom left. Saxtry looks pretty strong right now, man. He's looking very, very good, very confident. Can Royal throw a stick into his spokes here and trip him up in the early game?
Yeah, well, Motive was a softball for him to smash out the park, and now he's got Royal to contend with. So it will still be a bit of a fastball or curveball tossed his way this time. So we'll see if he can handle this kind of different speed and pace that Royal will be able to set for him. But yeah, Zerg versus Terran is his favored matchup. He's very solid ZVT, and that's one of the reasons why he's kind of risen from the ashes like a phoenix and gotten through to the higher echelons of Starcraft by playing against these guys so much on the ladder and getting beaten up by them for many years, and finally starting to be able to do well for himself. And yeah, look, Royal's not scouting at all right now.
He's going CC first.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Dude, guys, I mean, we've avoided talking about this just yet. This is a hot topic. Flash is back on the ladder right now. And you know what he did in some of his matches versus Jaedong this last week was CC first. He's been pulling it out. And, you know, there's been punishments for the hatchery first. People have been punishing it with 8 racks a lot recently. But pulling out the CC first, it's another way of punishing a Zerg player for going for that 12 hatch. It gives you such a big advantage. What is he going to do with it, though? Because what Flash has been doing on the ladder is going CC first into mech play, which has been very, very successful. But I'm not sure that Royal is that type of player. Is he a mech player?
Well, I mean, most of these players can play mech, but he's not necessarily... you know, he's not like fantasy. He doesn't like going for mech very often. He's more of like a bio, maybe consider like a Valkyrie build or something, or, you know, maybe like a triple factory to counter Crazy Zerg or something. But yeah, not usually going for straight up mech. So if he does do that, I'd be really curious.
Dude, how funny is it that we're seeing, like how long has it been since we've seen CC first versus Zerg?
Quite a time.
I feel like it's been forever. Like, let me know, guys, when the last time, if you remember, if there's one that's sticking out in your mind recently that it's not coming to mind to me right now. Let me know in the comments. But I honestly can't remember the last time we saw CC first. And Flash comes back. He plays it against Jaedong on the ladder, and here it is in KCM now. Royals playing it out. Let's see. If he goes for that mech build and copies him even further. It's funny how much of an effect truly that Flash actually has on the way that people play and how the meta evolves.
Yeah, we might be seeing a lot of meta shifts coming out just because Flash is around. People are going to be all eyes on him, not just the Terrans, but also the respective Zergs and Pros watching the versus Terran matchups and seeing how he approaches the game and how they will have to adjust or given the insights courtesy of Flash himself, utilizing them in their own play to both adjust and improve their gameplay. It's a valuable resource to learn from the best, and Flash has been and maybe still is the best of all time, especially in the Starcraft sphere. So that might change soon. He's back, but we'll have to see how he performs over the next year. But it could be that Flash comes back and, you know, puts his crown back on his head, sits down on his throne, and, you know, looks like he's back in business and back to rule.
Well, even if he's not at the absolute top, you know, if he doesn't win ASL, it doesn't mean that he won't have a big effect on the meta, because he is one of the players that everyone recognizes as having one of the deepest knowledges and understandings of the game overall. So whether he dominates or not, he is still going to be kind of bringing up ideas and, you know, bringing out new builds that are going to be used and change the meta here. And look at this. Royal went for the CC first. He went immediately into +1 and now into 4 racks. This is going to be an insane quick 4 racks here. Yeah. So fast, because with the CC first, you can just get these out way quicker than if you were regularly just going to go 1 racks fast expand into +1. He's going to have to build way less turrets here. It's just going to give him such a big advantage.
Yeah.
CC first is an insanely strong build if you can get away with it.
It's not so much like the game's over. It's just that all the timings and everything just works better for Royal now. Like, he's just got slightly more than he would usually have. All the timings are slightly earlier, and what he will need will be less. Like, he'll need, like you say, less turrets, and everything will just work out better for him. And because as Terran, you spend money where you need to, and so, for example, you would cut to make turrets, and like, unfortunately, like, Royal doesn't have to worry about that now. Like, he's got so many resources available to him that he's not having to cut any corners, really. And he's going to have everything very crisp, and he's not having to cut production. Like, everything's going to be like flawless. Whereas Saxry going for the respective 2.5 hatch into this muta play with the early on location third, it's a reasonable counter to what Royal's doing, but he's not going to be in an advantage for a long time.
Yeah, he's coming in here to get rid of that turret. There's actually quite a few more turrets than I was expecting. I thought he would push across the map here as the first few mutas were arriving, and then skimp on turrets a little bit back at home with the threat in towards the natural being enough to keep Saxory out of his base. But he's actually added on quite a few extra turrets. He's skimped a little bit here on building his SCVs. He was slowing down that just slightly, but he's going to be a lot more safe here and pushing forward with already this kind of crazy macro with 4 racks pumping, and a factory is finished up with the starports going. So Royal just looking very, very good right now. And Saxory just now getting his 3rd base online. He's starting to mine his minerals. He will start that gas geyser soon. It's looking very good for Royal. Saxory's going to have to pull out something sneaky here to be able to take this game, I think. And it's likely going to be a switch into Hydralisk Defiler. That's going to be how he brings this one back, is by getting super efficient with that composition.
Yeah, and I'm curious, did Royal just make his science facility? If he's going straight into vessels, or is he going Valkyries here? So far, though, Sakurai doing a pretty good job of cleaning up the bio just before the Bulls join forces and become a more unstoppable large mass moving across the map. So Sakurai doing an okay job of keeping the Bull in a relatively small enough to deal with. But I don't know, like, still with the 14cc start and Royal pumping like this, he may be able to just come in here and like bowl Saxory over soon if he doesn't start to make lurkers soon at these ramp locations at the 3 o'clock and what have you. He's only got like 1 sunken at each location. He needs to start making some kind of additional defenses there with like the likes of lurkers in the next like 30 seconds or so. He might just die.
Oh, Drone's going across the map. This is a miss rally here. He's going to lose all 3. Ouch, that really hurts right there. I think this has just been spotted here in the center right. Rolls just found out about the base over here. I think the reason that Saxory went for this 3rd over in the center right is because he realized that there was going to be way too many Marines out, that he wouldn't be able to defend long enough with just pure Mutalisk to get that base online with lurkers in time. Like, it's just not going to happen. He was going to be under too much pressure. There's going to be way too many Marines. And so he gets the base in the center right there. It's a lot easier to defend on that high ground. And he's going to utilize that base to get himself into this next stage of the game where he can start to trade a little bit more efficiently. He's done a great job so far, though, really. It's tough. It's tough. There's so many Marines. Even if you're trading in a pretty decent way, it's still going to be really, really hard to stop this attack. He will get the lurkers here, but is it going to be in time? I think he's just bought barely enough time here with these Mutalisks.
Yeah, well, the mid game is like Terran's time to shine against Zerg, laying siege to them until they can stabilize, get a 4th gas, and make something happen. But here comes, just running into the Sunkers. The lurkers only just now hatching. You might be able to pop one of those lurkers for eating burrows. Only 2 lurkers are now getting targeted down. 1 remaining will get taken down. And here comes the big push from Royal. Also going to push through both of these Sunkers. There are some Mutalisks coming into. Here come additional Marines. If Saxory can't clean up these Marines before the additional Marines come in, maybe he'll be able to kill these additional lurkers from the south as well. And he is going to do just that. And now start target down these mutas one at a time. This is crazy from Royal. It's exactly what I was worried about happening, and it does come to pass. And GG, Saxory just taps out literally 3 seconds from being safe, and he's dead.
That is insanity, man. This is the power of the CC first. Like we were saying, it punishes that 12 hatchery very, very well. It's no 8 racks. You don't win the game immediately, but you have a big advantage, and it's very hard for a Zerg player to make up for that. Even switching quickly into Lurker and Hydra Defiler is not going to be enough here for Saxory. He wasn't quick enough. That massive +1 Marine army bust through the natural, and Royal will advance. Who do we send out here against Royal? YSC or Stork? I don't know if Stork is up to the task. I think it might be YSC. We're about to find out.
Damn, son. How'd you like these? Some good games.
Yikes.
Yeah, I expected that to happen, to be fair. Like, as soon as I saw Secretary's tech timings relative to Royal, I was like, he might just get bowled over here.
Yeah. He needed to buy a little bit more time. He had a lot of mutas still. You know, he had like 10 mutas. But just got to pick away at that a bit more, maybe.
But Royal did that thing where you like wait for like a tiny window where the Zerg's distracted, you just stim and run all the way to their natural. You know what I mean? Like, you just stim and go, and just go, like a Marine.
Yep.
It's the way to play Terran in the mid game, man. It's all about those crisp timings.
Getting in there like right before everything's ready. Just before it's ready.
That's how you. That's the difference between a great Terran player and a good Terran player. The great Terran player is hitting those 5-second windows differently than the other Terrans.
Yeah,
and it does come down to those tiny windows.
Here we go. Game number 3. YSC gets sent out versus Royal. We're on Apocalypse. I mean, this map is pretty balanced, I would say. Like, what do you feel about this map in TVP?
Yeah, honestly, like, I've got no complaints about it personally. I know there's some people that don't like playing on it, on the ladder and what have you, but overall, I really like watching games on this map, and I enjoy playing on it personally, so I don't have any problems with it. I know some people have a bit of a bias against certain maps, and this is one of them. A lot of people don't like it for whatever reason, but overall, I think it's a good map.
I think it's a reasonable 3-player map. Some people, I think, don't like all 3-player maps. So,
yeah.
It's
like Sylphid.
It plays out a little differently.
Yeah, like Sylphid was really hated, but the reality is Sylphid's actually one of the most balanced maps we've got, and it's a 3-player map, so it's kind of insane. Don't get me wrong. There's loads of things wrong with it. It's just that statistically speaking, it's pretty balanced.
I think it's kind of fallen out of balance recently, if I'm being honest. The way that Terran players have figured out how to abuse tank pushes on that map against Zerg, it's so hard to hold on to a third gas on that map. It's crazy, but I digress, guys. We're here on Ascension with Royal going into this gas geyser. No probe coming out for a scout from YSC just yet. Looks like he's just going to open single goon into expansion. What do you think this is going to be here, Shun?
Yeah, I mean, the timings look like he's just going to go straight into Dragoon here. I mean, you're not probe scouting as well. Like, usually if you don't probe scout, you can assume they're not going to make the Zealot. And that's why as Terran players, if they see the early probe scout, they're kind of like, oh, the Zealot's going to be coming. That's kind of like the tell in a way. So the fact that he's not probe scouting does indicate that he's going to go straight into Dragoon, maybe 23 Nexus.
Well, Royal going to set up a very nice little SimCity here. It's not going to matter, though. Oh, wait a second.
Ooh, he's going to take the coin
does
flip.
Come out.
Yeah, you can do this as pro. In fact, this is better to do against good players because you don't probe scout. There's a chance that you get lucky with the coin flip, and then you get a Zealot in their base early and just have a small advantage just for free.
Well, he sees that Zealot, so he will be prepared against it, and he's got the SimCity back at home, and he will be able to utilize it. Vulture should be coming out immediately. He won't skip the machine shop here, and hides the probe. This is a technique that Zerg players usually use against Protoss players to make sure that they can get their natural down. But here, YSC hides the probe, and he sends it out after the SCV is passed. I guess he was making sure that that wasn't scouted, so he wouldn't throw down an engineering bay. Is that what that was for?
Maybe. I'm not too sure about Royal's decision here. Like, there's I think, yeah, he's getting enough damage on these. For a second there, I thought like the Vulture was a little bit mistimed with the Dragoon, and like there was a chance there for like Royal to like maybe lose the SCV on the command center, but I was completely wrong about that.
Yeah, he doesn't commit to trying to pick that off, and Royal with the 4 Marines, 1 Vulture, going to be able to push everything back here. It's a pretty strong anti-Zealot force. The Dragoon does kind of mess with this. Oh, wait, did he cancel? He canceled the bunker. Hold on a second. Could he be in trouble right now? Well, there's no other Dragoon heading across the map. He actually shaves off the shields here of the Dragoon with the Vulture and then sends it back towards his natural. He doesn't have the bunker though.
Wow.
This is what we really struggle against, is the actual Dragoon force coming forward. With just Vultures and Marines, we're going to be able to kite this very hard, and the build that he's gone for, he's going to have range here really, really soon with quite a few Dragoons ready to fight. The lack of bunker is a pretty big risk here right now for Royal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a well-calculated risk. He's kind of assuming correctly in how YSC will approach this game. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It was a little bit of a risk there, a little bit of gamble. He doesn't know what's going on behind that. It could have been a second gateway follow-up as well, additional production. It could be 5 Dragoons descending upon him right this second. So yeah, a little bit risky for Royal here, but still has, basically called the bluff of YSC here and played as greedy as he could possibly muster in that situation, has kind of given himself a little bit of a nice advantage here in the mid game, early to mid game. I mean,
one Vulture gonna slip by here. Can he put down some mines behind the Dragoons right now? Looks like he will not. He actually doesn't have any mines on this Vulture, so he won't be able to throw down any more mines just for now. These 2 Vultures gonna run in, throw down mines on the high ground, but gets picked off immediately. YSC. Keeping these Vultures back right now, making sure that he's not going to take any unnecessary damage from these mines, and that he's got a good position on his own plateau to defend from. You don't want to give away that high ground to the Terran player too easily, otherwise he might set up some tanks over there and make it really hard for you to bust out. But for now, Royal just going to be sitting back here. Generally on this map, we see Terran players work into a third base pretty consistently, nice and early, and then power off of those 3 bases into a very big push. It's almost without fail that's the type of game that Terran players want to go for. Is that what Royal wants to do now? Is he going to throw a curveball here at YSC?
Well, he could also go for like a 5 factory kind of option if he wants to put on more aggression and do a more 2-base timing kind of way of playing into a third base. But so far the Observer comes in and sees everything, so if he was going for that setup, he'd have maybe like a turret ring, or he wouldn't just want to show that that's what he's going for. So he is doing a more upgrade Terran style thus far, getting his academy around finished up about 7 minutes. He has to cut 4 SCVs for that, so he may choose to make 1 comm set at a time to kind of not take as big of an economic deficit. We'll have to see how he likes to approach that. But yeah, so far, like, everything seems pretty much on curve. Like, nothing really suspicious out of both players, and we'll probably see Royal also go up to 4 Goliaths eventually, so he can start, killing all these observers and warding away any potential shuttles and Reaver slow down on his push timing.
I don't see any Reavers out just yet, and I don't see a lot of gateways either. YSC takes a pretty quick third Nexus here, but what will be his follow-up? Is he going to put on a bunch of gateways here, or is he going to change up his tech? If Royal is being like really slow and taking his third base, he might like want to switch that up a little bit, go into another tech. Okay, there's the Reaver. Never mind. We are going to have the Reaver tech. The choice of adding on the goons or adding on the Goliaths is going to pay off here for Royal as he tries to push forward. He adds on more factories. Is he going to try and take this third base with just 3 factories, or will he need more here to make this happen?
With the current curve of the game, I think 3 will be adequate, actually. There's a chance that it wouldn't be adequate, but he scans, he sees like roughly what's going on, so he has a pretty good idea that this is a safe play to move out right now. He sees roughly the gateway count, the choice to go into Reavers, the timing of that as well. He saw the warp in timing, I think, of that support bay, which clues him in even more into where he's at in this game. So he's going to like throw down some Sim City bunker and depot there as well, I believe. So can have a pretty good defensive setup. Meanwhile, for inversely, YSC going to be taking his 4th base. I would say this is pretty early, actually, taking your 4th base at like 8 minutes 40. It's a little bit greedy, but I think it's respectably greedy considering that he can't do anything about this 3rd base timing of Royal.
Yeah, if this was a different game here with a much earlier Reaver, I would say that taking the 3rd base on 3 factories is pretty risky, considering the current meta is geared towards players breaking open Terran on 3 bases when they're moving out a little bit too quickly. We're just at 9 minutes right now, and Royal's almost got that 3rd CC done. The Shuttle is just now flying in, but both players kind of warp speed accelerating themselves into the next stages of the game, not attacking into each other, respecting the option of attacking each other. Like Royal is adding on a lot of extra buildings in his base or over towards that entrance to his third base. Setting up everything properly, but taking very greedy expansion, as is YSC. And both of them powering up really, really fast here into the mid game.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. Royal also, because he saw the warp in timing of that support, they had his zoning turrets like finish as the shuttle was in position to fly in. So everything is like really crisp and clean in this game. A very a good game to study, to learn some Terran versus Protoss 101. We do see an additional shuttle being added to the assault now to maybe to get past at least one of these turrets. And if the speed kicks in anytime soon, he'll be able to go in a moment here, maybe do some significant damage. But the Royal sniffs this out. He's got his vultures, tanks, and Goliaths all moving into position into the main base, waiting for this to occur. And I don't think they'll be too significant in the damage it's able to yield as a result.
Yeah, we've got some mines here ready to intercept. That's a lot of supply depots as well. Okay, drops down here. Can the Scarab go over? It hits the tank, and there it goes. The Reaver gets taken out. This was a great shutdown from Royal. You can see there's just a tiny bit of space where YSC can fly by the turret without taking any damage, but that was a bait, really. Royal ends up shutting that down perfectly, and now he has a great position here with no harassment damage and just powering on this 3-base economy here and going into his upgrades as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Motive is likewise going to have to start to think a bit more expansive himself. He's going to come down into the bottom left and set up 2 next eye down there, and eventually maybe even additional gateways to set up another rally point, because he knows that there's going to be a pretty strong timing out Royal. It's not like Royal is like in a huge advantage or anything. It's just that he's set up to do exactly what he wants to do, and that's not really a comfortable position to be in as Protoss in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of mines here in the main base for Royal. He's making sure that nothing's going to go wrong here when he eventually starts this push, that nothing like no small budget recall can get in here and deal any significant damage in his main base. But he is no doubt setting up for a huge attack very, very soon. 150 supply now. How is he doing on these upgrades? I think he must be nearing that 2-1 marker, and that should be the moment when he wants to start to push and at least take his peninsula and look towards a 4th base, if not just going across the map and trying to take out some of these YSC bases, because they are starting to spread out everywhere now.
He'll start to push out in about 30-ish seconds, unless he wants to slow the timing to more of a max out. But he has his 2-1 finishing up in about 30 seconds from now, so he'll very soon be starting to want to move out. He needs to take this high ground plateau initially, because once he secured that, he's both got a great defensive position to control both of his expansions at once, and also then has a great stage to start launching vectors of attack, vulture raids out onto the map, and really start to get his claws into this game. Already some movements out on the map, but so far has been shut down by the forces of YSC here, but that will not be the case in a moment here. As he starts to move out, YSC is going to have to be very fluid in his army movements to keep up with this huge Terran force that will be brought to bear.
I like what Royal is doing right now, sending just 2 vultures out around the map instead of grabbing like an entire control group. It's not going to lower the potential power of his army. Okay, now he's sending out a lot. He sees that there's maybe some space to move around with this, but what I was trying to say is that having just a few vultures run around means that it's like a low commitment. You can get some damage, you can get some good positioning, but if you lose all the vultures, it's not as big of a deal as if you lost like this big group of vultures. If you lose all of these vultures here on the screen right now, 24 vultures go down before you try to move out, YSC could just bash down your first push forward, and you might end up losing all your tanks.
Yeah, you need the vultures to sponge the zealots, and also to lay down mines to have any kind of additional yield in the splash damage to mow down the usually superior Protoss force. Without the vultures, usually you just get speed lots running to your tanks all day and eventually you die. Here comes a big assault here from YSC though. Has the speed shells bombing onto the backline tanks, and meanwhile storms coming out at the front, and beautiful storms with the tank siege up like in a bit of a panic here from Royal. It's kind of spelled a little bit of a disaster for him, and now with the high ground advantage, YSC getting some pretty great trades and doing a great job of reducing this tank count critically.
Ooh, dude, these tanks, look at all the tanks on the right-hand side here. They were not part of that last fight. They were not able to deal their damage there. I think that the wall in here, working against Royal in this case, he was trying to move everything forward, but a lot of it got caught behind the wall and didn't really fight there. But coming out now with a lot of vultures, can he clear all the Dragoons? He gets more than half of them. But does trade away a few of the tanks. I don't think he can push across the map right now, but he will move to take his third base here. Setting that up now. CC is already done, so that's going to float and land in just a moment. And he will be preventing YSC from getting over here. Tanks on the high ground, tanks on the low ground as well. Can YSC actually break through right now? I don't think so, but maybe he can pick off a few tanks and kind of delay this this push a little bit further.
Yeah, I don't think this will be too successful going for this. He wants to try and see if he can get a win condition right here, right now. Maybe he can catch the SCV transfer train with some storms, but beautiful D-matrixes and positioning of these tanks will shut down these plays. He is still going for the High Templar play in the base though, and all the SCVs not quite getting stormed. That's a good storm, but beautiful turnaround from Royal, going to be mitigating significant losses there. So everything considered, Royal in a great position, and now we're looking in a split map situation because I don't think YSC is going to do anything about this for quite some time. But inversely, I also think that Royal can't do anything about these two bases churning away in the bottom left. So we're going to see a 6-base Protoss versus a 4-base Terran split map position, and this is going to be an interesting late game scenario.
No additional tech here from YSC that I can see at the moment. He hasn't switched into arbiters or carriers just yet. He's still sticking with this double robotics speed shuttle play. It's going to get less and less effective as time goes on, and especially as 3-3 finishes up here for Royal. Royal starting to move towards the middle of the map now that top center is secure. His 4th base is online. He could start to try and take this buildable center terrain coming in to break that before it truly gets set up in earnest. Doing a great job here, breaking this position before all the turrets are done. He drops a lot of Zealots and Templar and gets some great storms here on a few of these clump tanks. Royal struggling to do everything at the same time, including split his tanks into groups that are smaller than 2 or 3 tanks in a tight little group where storms can hit all of them at the same time. It's really important to do, but it takes so much attention and consistent control that maybe Royal's not quite up to the task here just yet. He's having a lot of these tanks quite stacked up over and over again and taking a lot of damage. He finally kills his own bunker to open up the position. It might have been a better choice to kill that with the initial push, so he could have gotten his tanks into position a little bit better for that first push out, but he finally does that now, and he is pushing forward in earnest here, trying to take the center of the map.
Well, he needs to move those Marines to make use of that killing of the bunker, because at the moment the Marines are still going to be blocking that, so he will have a little bit of unit flow issues until he identifies that he also needs to move the Marine scan going off in the main base to see that there's no Arbiter tech or anything just yet, so might be having some poor man recalls instead. But so far it looks like a frontal assault, best style, just going to hit the hammer onto the nail as hard as we can, see what happens. Steve Matrix coming out on the front tank, beautiful side storms on the high ground, but the tanks aren't that clumped up, so they're not doing the kind of damage you'd like to. But there's significant amount of Protoss infantry forces of Dragoons that could come up here, but with the big clump of his, tanks on the high ground, not quite able to come into position. So as long as he can just sort of stay on this periphery, keep the Royal kind of semi-contained here, and just keep trading out tanks as much as possible and prevent him from getting up to a really strong 200 maxed out army with 3 free upgrades, maybe YSC can do a good enough job of keeping Royal at bay here. So far so good, I would say. And now that he's got like all these gateways powering, and he hasn't quite taken any additional gas, he doesn't need to. He's like churning out so many zealots and infantry forces that he's got actually a huge gas bank right now, so maybe more High Templars or Arbiters could be added to this mix.
Yeah, this is getting to be a little bit bad here for Royal. He's managed to reach 172 supply, but every time he moves forward, YSC is diving on top of his army. He's dropping a lot of zealots here, and a great storm hitting about 4 tanks there on the high ground. The Dragoons are running up here. We're actually out of zealots, but the numbers of tanks are low enough at this point that maybe we can continue to push through. Nice D-Matrix there, and YSC will have to retreat, but maintaining a higher supply here. Despite all of these trades, he's lowered that tank count once again, and Royal is starting to run out of cash. He's going to move down here towards the bottom center to try and take over this base. If YSC can deny that, this game is going to get really, really hard for Royal. If he grabs that base, though, we could see this go into a very long game.
Well, this is the tipping point that YSC was kind of hoping for. Eventually, Royal would be mined out in his main and natural and be reduced to just 2 base of economy to potentially 4 of YSC's. So a little bit of an issue here for Royal going forward. He needs this base set up in this bottom right pocket, and everything is coming down to this right now. Huge flood of zealots coming forth with Storm, and some of the tanks are clumped as well. Beautiful Storm on those clump of tanks in the north. They're just like 1 hit from dying now, and so now YSC kind of flipping the script on Royal even further in this game and keeping him tucked away on this 2 base economy while he's churning out huge amounts of zealots and dragoons and high templars to just keep smashing him. Like, honestly, I'm not too sure that Royal can keep going for too much longer if he doesn't get this base up in the bottom right.
He's having a hard time macroing right now. Any significant force to actually hold on to this bottom base. He's got to hold on to a lot of different areas right now. He has to hold this top center. He's got to hold that plateau in the middle of the map. There's a lot of points of weakness here, and YSC is going to probe them to see if he can break any of these positions. First up is top center. There's not a lot of tanks over here. There's just a few Marines. Those are going to get exploded pretty quickly, and the position has been open. Meanwhile, he's sending another small force down here to the bottom center. This is great moves by YSC to just pull apart a Terran player who's already suffering here, who's already been pulled nearly to his limit. He's getting in on multiple bases and forcing a decision here out of Royal to save this base or to save bottom center. He's chosen top center here. And he's going to lose all the SCVs down here at the bottom center as a result.
This is beautiful head body boxer mentality here from YSC, like throwing jabs to the head, make all the hands come up to protect the head, and suddenly you go for the body again, and the arms just can't keep up with the attacks, and launching assaults from both vectors here to keep Royal guessing and forcing him to split his forces inconsistently and at a deficit here. And without having a critical mass of units to fight off these attacks, he's just getting a completely overwhelmed 50 supply deficit despite these 3-3 upgrades here, and now another force coming up to bully the head, force the arms to come up to protect the head again. But so far, all the arms have gone down to protect his body. He's taken so many liver shots trying to get this base set up in the bottom right that he's now like just getting crippled in the north.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many SCVs left at this point, Shun. How many SCVs do we actually have here? 40? 30? We've got like 1 base mining over at that 3rd. He does get the 5th base up and operational, but he's on an 80 supply disadvantage. Can he hold on to his own plateau even and this base down in the bottom right? He certainly can't hold the base in the top center any longer. He's not going to be able to reclaim that. YSC is growing even further, and he is nowhere near mining out right now.
Yeah, this is like a nightmare situation for Terran because he's only just now got this base set up, but now he's back to 2 again because he had this he had the head just like punched into oblivion, and now another storm drop. Only 1 turret here with tanks. If there's a zealot in here to tank fire, he will get at least 1 or 2 storms off. Even with just high templars, he's still going to get a few SCV kills. And any SCV kills is crippling damage at this point in the game. Just 116 supply as another huge force of goon and a few zealot support come into this high ground peninsula. See if they can get some damage done further onto these siege tanks. There is pretty good positioning of the tanks, but unfortunately from the high ground advantage, just getting stormed to death. Some D-Matrix coming down to counteract these storms, but it doesn't matter. As long as you're trading with any kind of efficiency here for YSC, he's going to be coming out on top. So even though he loses all these dragoons and they go splat, he's still doubling the supply of Royal here.
The GG scans come out. He checks all the bases of YSC and taps out. Brilliantly done here by YSC. Really tactical brilliance being shown. The way that he was diving upon the Terran army as he was coming up that for the first attack there up onto the plateau, and then splitting the army back and forth, head and stomach over and over again, hitting him and hitting him and hitting him again and again. That is exactly how you want to play that sort of gateway man style. You don't want to be hitting directly into the punch of your opponent. The main army is too strong. You want to be splitting them apart and taking small fights that are better suited to your army type, and he did very, very well with that. He manages to take out Royal. I wasn't expecting it, Shun, were you?
No, I wasn't expecting it at all.
Well, surprising us both here. YSC is going to continue on. Hero or Queen will be his next opponent. Find out.
Wow. That was really good gameplay from YSC though. I need to grab additional drink. I've like ran out of fluid.
All right, I'll grab some too.
Yeah, we'll be
right back. You got some vegetable too?
근데 윤수철 선수가 만약에 진짜 만약에 김명훈 선수까지 제압을 하면 다음 또 테란전이에요. 저는 좀 기대를 걸어보는 게 이 선수가 솔직히 이 정도 테란전에 어떤 역량을 갖고 있었으면 이게 포시에 가도 저는 손색이 없다 느껴져요. 아 오늘 올킬 나와요. 윤수철 선수는 가능합니다. 왜냐? 윤수철 선수가 나왔을 때 테란이 다 있었잖아요.
Aaron's got the hook up.
그러네.
Oh, this is the thing that you were looking at before. The thing you were looking at before. He brought it out. It's like the leaf.
꼽을 수 있는 게 이광용 윤수철 둘이었어요 사실. 근데 야 여기서 윤수철 선수가 김지성을 잡으면서 지난주에 박성균 선수 잡은 게 뒷걸음질 치다 잡은 게 아니라는 걸 스스로의 힘으로 증명했어요. 이거는 완벽하게 증명한 거죠. 왜냐하면 경기력 자체가요. 어떤 저희는 뽀록이라고 그러거든요. 뽀록의 여지가 전혀 없는 그냥 완전 순수 본인이 그린 판에서 본인이 그린 그림을 하나하나 채워 나가면서 이기는 그런 게임이어서 본인이 게임을 하고 되게 만족스러웠을 거예요. 예. 윤수철 선수 잘했어요. 자 준비 끝났다고 글 들어왔습니다. 김명훈 선수까지 넘어갈 수 있을까요? 오늘의 4경기 윤수철 대 김명훈 트로이 가보시죠.
Might as well eat the corn too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're just gonna throw random
자,
corn into our
완벽한
next meal.
승리의 조건 LG
Might as well-
콜드라기어
might as well be like
KCM
extra for this.
2차 출발했습니다. 4경기 출발.
I'm water. Yes.
자신감이 넘칠 것 같고, 자 여러분의 마음은 성원 있으시길 바라겠습니다. 지금 종족 최영님과 손잡고 LG전자에서 울트라기어 그리고 그램 이제 PC 종류들을 기획 특가 판매하고 있습니다. 많게는 33%, 적게는 15%까지 이번 기회를 많이 이용해 주시기를 바랍니다. 어디로 가야 살 수 있냐고요? 저기 보면은 제 아프리카 TV에 라인업 나오는 공지와 아니면 여기 쇼라 TV, 쇼라 PD님이 계실 텐데 그분에게 어디로 가면 돼요? 그럼 알려주실 거예요. 이쪽으로 가시면 됩니다.
Oh, I'm back.
그러니까 그러고 넘어갈.
Mio, look at this. Said problem occurred. Unfortunately, a problem occurred during shipping.
What does it mean?
I don't know. If you have not received your package by June 24th, please come back here for update.
Your that was your
Microphone.
email? What was
My email? No. Didn't check email.
phone? Your call.
Yeah. It said check your account, right?
Yeah, it said check the website
Yeah.
for the contact to the contact them or something.
Problem occurred.
We have 1 week and problem occurred. I hope it arrived before we leave. Yeah.
Oh. It just said what?
Undeliverable.
Undeliverable. They couldn't deliver it. It said out for delivery, 10 a.m. Held by carriers. Delivery address is incomplete.
Oh, can I see the address?
Why does it say that?
Yeah,
Why is
but
it incomplete?
기가겜 information but still. Oh, you need more on the apartment name?
What? Why is it different? I've always been using the same one. That's ridiculous. What happened? Here it is right here. Green Kohaku 103. What do you mean? That makes no sense. Shipping. Why does it say shipping address? It's only this. It says returning to seller. That makes no sense. What? To
Yeah.
Canada? What do you mean to Canada? I mean, it just, yeah, I mean, wherever it's from, it's somewhere here in Japan. Here, look.
Kanagawa. Tokyo. Strange. You need to call.
It doesn't say what the carrier even is. Why does it say delivery address is incomplete? I've done like 50 deliveries here. How is it incomplete? Here it is, right here.
someone mess up your shipping label?
Amazon, I bought like a dozen things from Amazon, and I use always the same shipping address, and then they went to ship it to me,
On the old address?
and then it says problem occurred,
Hmm.
and I checked what it said, what happened, and it says updates. It went for delivery, but it was held by carrier as the delivery address is incomplete. Please contact the carrier to update your address information and then returning to seller. I just send it back. And then it doesn't tell me what the carrier is.
That's kind of weird.
Who the hell is the carrier?
It's a little strange.
And there's no way to contact.
Was it like just an independent seller on Amazon, or where was it from?
Call him back.
ありがとうございます。ご注文の配送についてお客様にご連絡させていただきました。詳細またはカスタマーサービスの連絡先については Amazon のウェブサイトをご参照ください。
They said,
Just go to Amazon website.
I muted my desktop audio on my stream so no one could hear you talk right now. I just muted guys in case he says something. He doesn't want y'all hearing. Sorting out some issues with shipping or something. He's been having no problems at all with Amazon. All of a sudden, his parcel's going for a little round the world tour. Is your parcel on a round the world tour or something right now? Where's your parcel at right now? Did they not even tell you? Huh. So is it like an independent seller or is it from Amazon? I'm confused. That's pretty weird. Well, Amazon will give you a refund on it and you'll have to just order it again maybe. Yeah. Yeah, they won't reship it if it was undeliverable as well, so you have to do a new order to get it processed. Queen going up against YSC. I imagine Queen will win. I'll put my audio from my actual desktop audio back on when they're finished sorting out. Don't want them to accidentally leak information and stuff like that. So far, YSC's winning because he's made his probe before Queen made his drone. Although as Zerg, you have to send your workers to mine first, no matter what. Even though it's probably more efficient to do that. So usually don't make the drone quite as fast as some players, as if they're playing Terran Pros. And you have to have one more key input as well. You're pressing two keys. You're pressing S and D. Whereas they're just pressing like P or E or whatever. So yeah, you have that advantage as Terran and Pros over Zerg. They can't make their drone as fast as you. Because if you make the drone now without sending the workers to mine, you see how like one of the drones is over the lava? It'll actually glitch out the drone and take it a few extra moments to get to mining. And it can sometimes even slide into the hatchery and take even longer to come out and mine. So that's one advantage that Terran and Protoss have over Zerg. Yo, I was born ready, son.
All right, okay. I already asked you that. Just talking to my wife here. Hold on a second. Okay, who did we delete? Who just went down? Royal, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Royal's gone. Alright, let's go. Alright, Royal is out. YSC moves forward. He's going to be going up against Queen here. Troy is the map. Let's see what YSC can bring out here against Queen. Definitely a Protoss favored map, I'd say, Troy, as...
Yeah.
We weren't really too sure about who it was going to favor when it first came out, but it seems to have rounded out that way.
Yeah, I think it gives a few more options to Protoss players, especially in the early game shenanigans they can do to Zerg. So definitely maybe a little bit of a cutting edge to them. But yeah, I mean, Queen's no slouch though, and he at one point was dominating Zerg versus Protoss, and so YSC is going to be playing, need to be playing his absolute A game to take down Queen here. I do think this is going to be a Queen victory, but I'd be willing to be pleasantly surprised here. So far, YSC kind of on a little bit of a momentum streak, and maybe can, like, you know, start to take down some bigger names with Issa.
There's not too many bigger names than Royal right now. It's a big motivation and confidence boost to take him out before going up against Queen here. Is this double gate right now? He is going to double gate this, isn't he?
Yeah, it looks like it.
What do we have on the side of Queen? I think he took a gas. Is this 9 pool speed?
I think so.
Overpool?
And I think that...
Yeah, that's overpool.
Yeah, that's...
Overpool with gas.
That's really interesting. Okay. So he's kind of like hedging his bets a little bit here. Like kind of being defensive against this kind of early shenanigans from YSC, while also not putting himself so far behind and so committed to the play that he would be in a bit of trouble here. So yeah, really curious stuff.
Interesting decision by Queen. He's going to have the 6 lings popping here in a moment. Looks like he built 1 extra drone, so he doesn't have all 6 ready to go. He's only going to be able to start 4. But he pulls all the drones off of gas as he starts the +1. Or not +1, excuse me. As he starts that speed there.
Yeah.
It's going to make him a lot stronger against these initial zealots, and it might force YSC to just stay home. But it's not going to give him a very fast expansion here.
No, yeah, I mean, both players will be an interesting scenario here because with the Ling speed on the way, these Zealots can't do the same kind of significant damage they would like to. For a while, they'll put on a little bit of pressure. Might be able to save this probe, but he's really gunning for this probe with those first 4 Lings. Does now instead try and transfer onto the Zealots around, but unable to do that. Additional second Zealot now in play against the 6 Lings, but an additional 2 will be... So it looks like YSC going to have to wisely be plugging the wall with his units right now. And Queen now has the option of throwing down a macro hatchery, which is very, very curious that he's not expanding right now. I'm not too sure about the... he must be wanting to do a Ling all-in here and obfuscate the fact that he's doing this. That's the only explanation I can have for this, unless he wants to make the 3rd hatchery in as natural and go for 2 base timing, but it does look like a Ling flood play, and he just wants to make the hatchery as close to his main as possible to have a faster build timing on that. Although he is now sending additional drone out to make the potential hatchery in his natural, so I'm a little bit confused about the choice here.
Yeah, this is a wild start to this game. Why is he not cutting any corners right now? He's gone ahead and thrown down the forge, and he is going to start the cannon before he gets a nexus as well. So he's being very careful, and he's making the right choice in doing so, because Queen, he needs to do something with this. He's built so many Lings, and he didn't start his natural until just now, so it's super, super late. He's going to run by here. Let's see what he can do. Oh, there's actually a spot on the side. Wow. I didn't even know that was open, but neither did YSC, I suppose. He's just going to get completely wrecked. Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, that is absolute craziness. These Lings are going to run into the main.
You have the same issue at 12 o'clock for Terran walling. Like, it looks like it's wall, but it's not. Desert tile set can be a little bit deceptive like that. This is exactly what Queen was hoping for. That's why he made the macro hatchery in the main. He didn't want the natural hatchery to be sniped easily. He wanted to just be able to make Sunkens and Turtle in his main base against this run by committal from YSC while doing a damage of his own in the main base with Lings. And he's taking a lot of drone losses, though. These Sunkens are not quite ready, but he's inversely doing a lot of damage in the main base of YSC. If he can get this round on both of those Zealots, is going to be lights out for YSC. But so far, doing a good job of microing those Zealots to keep the probes alive and fighting without the AI being able to guide those Lings to target the probes down. Pretty good drone drills, saving the Sunken colony. Just one hit from these Zealots would finish it off. Finally going to be punching that down, but not before losing a lot of Zealots and drones and Lings on both sides here. So coming down to a very low economy situation. It looks like YSC is getting the better of it, though. The Lings in the main base now dealt with quite a few probes and just like 3 drones on the map. So Queen, I mean, YSC's done it. YSC's dispatched Queen, saying, like, this is insane what we're seeing today. Why? I thought they were just going to be throwing Protoss at the wall and see what sticks, but it seems like YSC wants to like build a wall to smash his opponents against right now.
Well, that was a very strange string of decisions there made by Queen. I understand throwing down double Sunken to try and hold the Zealot counterattack, but man, if there wasn't that hole on the left-hand side of the gateway, how badly would that have gotten shut down? YSC had no idea about that. It didn't really feel like Queen knew about it either, but he definitely took good advantage of that situation. And despite having that occur and getting the cannon kill right off the bat, still not able to take a favorable trade and ends up getting knocked out immediately. That's wild, man. That's just goes to show how much stronger YSC's build was than what Queen put together. Yeah. I'm very confused about his decision-making, his thought process for that game, but it gets pretty much served by YSC. He didn't cut any corners. He didn't get greedy at all. He just keeps building Zealots and cannons, and that's going to be enough. Dude, you're totally right. YSC is crushing it right now. I never would have expected it, but now he's going to be going up against either light or sharp. I imagine it's probably going to be light send out here, or
I
maybe
think
Sharp. What do you think, Sharp?
Yeah, I think Sharp actually.
Yeah, Sharp is definitely a TVP specialist more than a TVZ specialist. So sending him out against YSC, I think that makes sense. Let's see what the Terran squad thinks.
We'd
We're
also-
gonna find out who that next opponent is.
I don't
Sorry,
want
cut
to
you
ruin
off.
that. Yeah, that's right. I didn't want to ruin that outro for you either. I was just going to say that you also would rather have Light in the back pocket as the final pick rather than Sharp, right? Like Light's a more universal player, so I think it's really wise sending out Sharp right now.
Right.
I could run that line after you do your intro to this game.
Sure.
이 킬만 하면 되는 상황이 나옵니다. 여기서 만약에 윤철 선수가 부러지더라도 그럼 만약에 여기서 꺾어버리면은 송병구는 1킬만 하면 되고요.
Sharp indeed gets sent out here versus YSC. Cross map position on Radeon. It's already looking good for Mr. Hudo. YSC here in the bottom left. It's just been crushing it.
Yeah. I was just saying, like, momentarily before we started the game that I would send out Sharp because it makes more sense to keep Light in the back pocket as the more universal player, and Sharp as the Terran versus Pearl specialist is the optimal time to come and just, you know, snuff the wind out of the snails from YSC right now and stop him while you can, because if he takes out like another player right now, he could just go on a streak and just take everyone out. You might just feel like a new vigor, a new confidence in him, and everyone else will probably be a little bit intimidated by his streak.
Dork just sitting in the background,
Fossilizing.
fossilizing. Just steepling his fingers right now. Everything's going to plan here so far for him, and he's sitting in that background watching YSC dominate. He's going to be feeling very nice about his anchor position right now. Whereas Hero, I mean, he's got to be a little bit flabbergasted at this point. Both Queen and Sax are going down.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an unexpected turn of events. Now, Sharp here is going to be opening gas in this build, and there's no Nexus first out of YSC. He's playing very nice and standard. He is going to scout, however, with this probe, which is a bit of a different play style this time around. And will he build a Zealot once again? Or is he actually going to skip that and go directly to Dragoon this game?
Well, seeing it's cross map, I doubt it, but he might still surprise me and make it anyway. He might make it because it's unexpected to make it. Like, they both players know that they're cross map most likely right now. I mean, it's possible that he did some weird movement patterns with the scout to obfuscate, but with those timings being so precise on the rush distances so long on this map, I really doubt we'll see the Zealot being made here. Instead, it'll be a slightly quicker Nexus, maybe around 21, 23.
That's definitely what it's looking like right now. This probe is on a one-way mission into the Terran main base. He will be caught and killed momentarily, but he got the information on the timing of the factory here, and he will go to his grave a little bit early there. Does send the secrets back home to YSC, though.
Yeah.
And the Nexus goes down here in the natural Dragoon out as well. Probably not going to be able to send that straight across the map because that Vulture's going to be coming out here really soon, and you do want to make sure that no shenanigans can happen, no rogue Vulture can slip by or anything. Ooh, we don't have range here. So just a Dragoon into a robotics facility. He's going to chase the SCV around. And Sharp going to try and open up a position that he can slide that Vulture in, but YSC not going to fall for it. He's not going to keep chasing that SCV too far. He's going to make sure that he's ready for this Vulture coming in.
Yeah, with these huge distances cross map on Radiant, it's pretty much the longest rush distance we've got in the game right now, with all the maps considered. So that way it makes more sense not to take range. You're probably not going to get much damage done with your initial aggression from those ranged Dragoons, and also inversely will not necessarily need an earlier range timing to deal with any kind of early pushes from Sharp. Although Sharp is usually the player that likes to go for 11 gas fast Vulture, punish a Nexus first by his Vulture getting there just as the Dragoons pop out from the gateways. He's not going to get those kind of benefits on a map like this. Instead, just going to be going for a Vulture drop play and trying to take advantage in that way. That's another way he likes to play, very Vulture heavy style. So instead of the early pressure play from the Vultures, going to be just going straight into Vulture drop here, which makes sense, trying to make use of his tool set as best to his ability.
Well, what do you think about this? YSC goes Robo before range and then just gets an observatory.
This is how Quark
I would have
play.
expected it.
This is how Quark would play. Like the idea here is that the information game is more important at this stage. So you just want to get an observer into their base before they can possibly have a turret ring set up, because then you win the information game and then you can optimize your build relative to what the Terran player is doing, and that's more important.
He's going to have 2 Gateway Dragoon pumping out here. So he will have a good clutch of Dragoons to deal with whatever Sharp decides to pull out. But will he have the Dragoons in the position that they are needed coming in against this drop? He needs Dragoons in the natural mineral line as well as in the main base. Potentially in the wall as well, because Sharp likes to combo those attacks where he drops into the main and then he hits the front, just flying in with the Vultures as the Dragoons are pulled back on a single hotkey to try and deal with that. Let's see how many Vultures he has prepared for this. I think he's sending 2 straight across, getting ready for the stab into the natural, while this dropship flies through into the main base and tries to get as much damage as possible. Dragoons are up here at the top. We've got some in the mineral line as well. YSC is very well prepared for this. Let's see how it goes.
And if YSC was smart, he would have seen there's mines out on the map, and those new Vultures still have 3, so he'd know there's Vultures somewhere not where they should be. So he might have anticipated this, but only 2 Dragoons in natural expansion. And the mine gets targeted down, so it doesn't get the splash damage. Second mine goes down as well. Third mine also blinding dust, but now the Vultures are at the gates as well. Gets the detonation on the probe and the Dragoons. This is brilliant damage, and now with the splitting of the Vultures, we'll start mopping up all of these probes in natural expansion. YSC is starting to bite the dust already to the pressure of Sharp here, and he's just cutting through him like a Ginsu blade beautifully.
Very well done here by Sharp. He will lose the dropship. A nice target there at the end by YSC, making sure that Sharp won't get out with those Vultures at the very least. But this was an extreme amount of damage. He's not on 3 bases here yet, and he won't have the money to get on 3 bases for some time. With that many probes being lost, he's in a very rough position here. YSC going to start to move out on the map, but Sharp is just looking for more opportunities to backstab here. He's going to send in 1 Vulture towards that 3rd base. I'd love to see a count of how many probes actually went down during that fight, because I think it was a lot.
A lot.
2 died for sure to a mine. Oh my god, walks right into a mine there. That is just adding insult to injury here. Sharp is in an almost unbeatable position at this point, and YSC is just grasping at straws here. Luckily for him, there's no siege mode, but there it is. Siege mode finishes right as this gets up here. Dude, Sharp is just absolutely on top of everything.
Yeah, if the siege was like 5-10 seconds late, maybe he could snipe off 1 tank there at least, and maybe find a little bit of compensation. But all these Dragoons as well going to be triggering some mines. Needs to be really careful. There's 1 mine just waiting there. This Vulture is just teasing these goons, begging them to step just a few millimeters forward. That's in targeting range, and just a tiny little sliver there. So yeah, at a diagonal angle, it's actually really deceptive how the targeting works of the hex tile. So sometimes it will target the unit you don't think it would. It looks like the one on top's closer, but it's actually not. So sometimes the mines even drag deeper into the Dragoons and get even more beautiful splashes off.
Big turret ring here back at home for Sharp. He's making sure that he's got all the defenses necessary. There's no easy option for YSC to try to come back into this. YSC is staking really his only option right now, which is this 3rd base over here at the center left. It's going to give him a little bit of life in this game, but he's already even on supply with Sharp, and Sharp is gearing up for a big attack here. 5 factory follow-up going to be the choice, with extra Goliaths being added on to just snipe any shuttles, and another dropship coming in. You don't usually expect more dropship harassment at this point in the game, but Sharp is all for it. Oh, mine connection as well, getting one extra probe. So I'm gonna bait that last mine in with the vulture or with the zealot there.
Yeah. Even
one more mine back here. Oh god, if that goes off, dude, it'd be insane.
Even if he doesn't ravage the entire probe line, even just the lost mining time and the poor optimization of how long it takes for the drones to reach maximum saturation and optimal mining again, it's a huge dent in the economic boon of the Protoss player. Currently sitting at even supply with Sharp right now, which is very favoring the Terran player in this situation. And yeah, the 5 factory follow-up is a very universal play. You don't necessarily have to win with it and just do a tiling push and kill the Protoss player, although you could do. You can just make a lot of units and expand. It's good because you have slower upgrades and tech, so you're just banking on the fact that, okay, I want to kind of like go a bit middle road here and have a lot of units so that it doesn't really matter whatever happens. I've got enough to trade both offensively and defensively, and then I can go into a third base.
Small little push coming out here. YSC sees everything, but his eyes are going to be gouged out now. That observer going down. Picking those off is absolutely essential to a good Terran push. You want to be able to surprise the Protoss with your moves forward rather than just everything being tracked. And
absolutely,
vultures are going to get around to the sides here, looking for opportunities for damage. Is there any opening on this wall? Looks like it is tight. Doesn't really look like it from the top of that pylon, but it is in fact tight. A lot of Dragoons and army coming back here to deal with these vultures. It's going to give Sharp an opportunity to move forward. And he gets the shuttle? No! 5 HP.
So close.
That was so
far.
close.
Yeah, needs to be careful, but has given a lot of ground to Sharp. He's now just outside the rally point area. This is a bit of a deceptive choke. It's both sometimes larger than it looks and smaller than it looks, depending on the stage of the game. You need to be careful attacking into this, depending on what stage of game it is actually at right now. And Sharp knows that he's out of position. Needs to back away. He just get completely flanked and squashed like a bug if he remained there for any longer. So he needs to pull right back right now. And this shuttle is at dangerously close from being sniped, so he could slow down this advance by risking a few Goliaths here, but really he doesn't want to lose a single unit while he's retreating here. But the shuttle is low HP, does target that down, does get the kill. Both Reavers now out of play. Big pickup from Sharp, currently still even on supply, and with this fortified position and getting his third online, he's going to be feeling even more comfortable here.
Oh, I thought that was going to kind of screw Sharp over there when he turned around and tried to target with the Goliath onto the shuttle. Oh my god, 3 Dragons just going down. Great target firing there by Sharp, but you know, he turned around that Goliath. He actually halted all of the rest of his units, though. They couldn't move forward, and I thought that we were going to see big Scarabs land, but he just turns, targets one of the Reavers down, it dies immediately, and then the shuttle dies immediately after that. YSC has hit the wall here. He's at the end of his luck. Basically nothing going right anymore, and he is just moments away from getting completely bowled over here by Sharp.
I mean, Sharp is just slicing through all the like hydraulic wires on the machine that is YSC, and like a surgeon has dismantled him and dismembered him in ways that's making it harder and harder for him to find a foothold in this mid game right now. Finally, a Templar Archives being built, but it's going to be some time before Storms and Arbiters become relevant. So, and by that time, we're seeing Sharp almost maxed out already, 160 supply to just 150 of YSC. Like, this is, you don't see this in Terran versus Protoss. This kind of lead with the Terran able just to sit back on 3 bases, churning away. It's almost nightmarish situation to be in for Protoss. So YSC definitely has to make some kind of play in the next few minutes, either catching Sharp off guard by like doing some kind of poor man recall storm drop play, or he needs to wait for Sharp to try and move out and then outmaneuver him. But both of those things will be very hard to achieve.
This is the scary Sharp that we remember, guys. This is the Sharp that was looking possible to win this season of ASL, but did falter in his TVZ matchup. It kind of boggles the mind. You wonder, what if it was a Protoss player that he was up against in that last match? This is getting kind of sad, guys.
Yeah.
Flying in with 2 shuttles into the rally point here. What are we trying to get done right now? YSC, he didn't see any other way in, but that certainly wasn't the best option. He loses both shuttles immediately. I didn't even try to shoutcast that because it's a little bit cringe at this point. Flying in like that, you're gonna lose everything. And this push is absolutely gonna crush you. Why hasn't even left this game yet? I guess he's gonna hope that maybe Sharp doesn't push out for a little while longer. He can get some storm out and then maybe, land an amazing storm that kills 10 tanks, or what are we looking for here?
Yeah, I mean, he's not hoping a prayer, I think, saying, because I don't think much else is going to cut it. I don't think Jesus could come down from the heavens and save him right now. This is looking really rough, and unless Sharp makes any kind of critical blunders with his army movement or control, which I don't see happening. He's very good in this matchup and very fluid as well, and his unit control is one of his his fortes, so I don't see that occurring. And the scan on top of the army, wherever it is at any time, he's not going to be caught unawares. All his army is going to be balled up and able to fight a frontal assault with these infantry units of YSC that look pitiful in comparison. Even a D-Matrix coming out to make these trades. But there are some decent storms in here, but just not the kind of force of infantry you need to squash the rest of the force of Terran. So he's slowing down the Terran advance, but at a cost of all of his army right now. Just going to be tapping out. GG finally called. Finally, the little monster has been put back in his cage, and it's going to be Sharp going up against Hero next.
Yikes.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that into the natural, dude? Holy shit.
I actually have seen that. I've seen that from YSC a few times. That's actually quite trademark of him. He does this thing where he commits to plays where he'll he'll send a shuttle in, and when he's caught off guard and he should fly away, he still commits to it and will just lose the shuttle. He does that like pretty much every single time I've seen him go for that play.
That's wild. Well, I mean, Jesus. He certainly set himself up to lose there.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness. It's like, oh yeah, it's about time for Sharp to push. Let me just throw away both my shuttles with all the Reavers.
I think he just fell up. I think he fell apart mentally in that game after the crazy pressure and damage early game. Like, he just took so much damage that he was never in a comfortable position, so he was always playing off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it felt like he kind of degraded there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Lost all that
right,
confidence,
Yeah, let's see this. Let's see if Hero can bring this back. The last hope for Zerg. Hero spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner. Sharp over in the top left. Why is he there, man? He really fell apart in that game after taking so much damage early.
Yeah.
The draw play was excellent by Sharp. And after that, he's like running into mines. He's like bumbling Dragoons around, taking more and more damage and, losing shuttles with Reavers inside of them. It's rough.
Yeah.
But that's part of the battle, right? You got to have that mental strength. You got to have that mental resilience to handle a bit of damage and still play your best.
And that's an astute point, Stan. I mean, at the end of the day, this is as much a psychological game, in some respects more than a skill game. Like, all these players are very good in the skill element of the game, some better than others, but sometimes what's the make or break factor is their mindset and, their ability to keep calm under pressure, and when things don't go their way, to navigate and min-max and adjust their style to deal with the new situation. A lot of players can't handle that kind of mental taxation, and they do fall and crack under that pressure. And that's why these other players like Hero, Light are so scary, because they're not the kind of players that crack easily under that pressure, and they can sometimes turn those bad situations around into wins.
That's right, Shun. It's all about mindset, and that's why you should buy my course. Just kidding. I'll teach you how to have a great mindset. No, don't take any advice from me, guys. My mindset in Broodwar, especially in ladder games, is pretty dismal. It is what it is. Trying to slowly improve. I'm doing a little challenge right now, Shun. I don't know if you've seen. I'm doing 10 games a day until I hit A rank.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. How's that been going?
It's I don't know if it's the right way to go about it. I'm just trying to get myself to play more games, is my mentality, my thinking behind that. But
right.
Grinding out that many games every single day is a little bit rough on the mental, so I'm not sure how it's going to go. We're going to stick with it for a little while longer, but Yeah, we'll see how that ends up turning out.
My only advice would be make sure you're not just showing up to grind out the 10 games just for the sake of having 10 games played, and you actually do still focus on the game still.
Easier said than done, my friend. Easier said than done. Well, let's focus up on this game here, because Hero has gone for an early pool build. He's got a couple of sets of lings out here at the front. A little bit of a later hatchery for him. Maybe he was afraid that we were going to have like a CC first out of Sharp, or an 8 racks out of him. What do you think he was expecting here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you do usually see 8 racks come down on 2-player maps, but to be fair, a lot of Zerg players counter that with a 9 scout drone, and if you see that 8 racks and it's out on the map with a drone scout that early, you're just dead as Terran. So a lot of Terrans sometimes are a little hesitant to go for 8 racks on maps like this, where it's easier to find the 8 racks with a 9 scout. So sometimes you'll see them be a little bit more cautious in how they navigate the map.
Right, and if you do end up going for a CC first, you're pretty much dead to a build like this.
Right.
As well, it's not that high of a commitment here for Hero. He only built 4 lings, and he will shut down the scout as well, so that's a little bonus. But if the opponent goes for that CC first, you can just outright kill them. In the end, he's just going to get rid of that. He has 4 lings here, and Sharp's going to follow up with a 1 racks CC into a 2 racks push, and I think this is the right choice, don't you, Shin?
Yeah, no, I think this is pretty universal, pretty solid, and will give him strong timings to abuse. And it does shut down any kind of greedy play potentially from Hero, although Hero is opting to go for this on base location 3rd, it seems, and that is a little bit on the greedier side. It is my build of choice as well. I love to play like this, but it can get punished. So we'll have to see if he can get a timing on... Is he going to place this in the top right, or this 4th location? Okay, so this is interesting. Here, this gives him a ramp to defend from. So if he can control these 3 bridges and this ramp at the top, he can use that as choke points rather than having like multiple vectors to worry about on the right hand side. The lower to high ground transition is a little bit more awkward to deal with when you're playing as Zerg versus Terran. So interesting choices from Hero. I think as long as he can maintain a good healthy game state and slow down this timing with some clever ling timings and positioning, he'd be okay, but still can get heavily punished. If you go 2 racks and you don't get your 2 Sunkens out on time, you can just straight up die. So these Sunkens need to be crisp.
Yeah, the Sunkens here are on the way, and forcing out 2 Sunkens after your opponent goes for an early spawning pool, I mean, it just hurts that much more. It's exactly the reason why he's gone for this 2 racks play, but Hero's going to be suffering for minerals right now. You can see he's got 500 gas in the bank, but he's just got almost nothing in terms of that mineral count. So how is he going to be able to build mutas? He's got like 1 muta on the way? Well, 3 mutas possibly?
This is the awkward part as when you play 2-hatch muta. Like, if you have to make 2 Sunkens and 4 lings and speed, you just don't quite have enough minerals left over to squeeze out those mutas on time. So you're kind of like, you make like 2 or 3 and then you go up to 5 and then you go up to 7. It takes a little bit of time, so you don't have that like really sharp, like pun unintended, timing of coming in here and punishing the poor turret positioning or timing as well. So instead we'll be seeing a more macro-centric style from Hero, where he's only making like a minimal amount of mutas to kind of have some map presence, some map control, and then he's going to drone up quite heavily behind that and go into a much more powerful mid to late game macro phase. But yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, but it's kind of a reality of when you play 2-hatch muta like this.
3 racks here for Sharp. He's being a little bit passive right now, staying at home and worried about the aggression from Hero's Mutalisk, not realizing the damage that he's done, right? He forced Hero to just slowly increment out these mutas, and I don't know if Hero had the muscle to actually deal with an attack coming over to his 3rd at that moment. He hardly had any units, and Sharp just kind of let it go by, built 5 turrets in the natural, or 5 turrets here in the natural. He's built like another 5 in the main as well, and this is great for Hero. He's not taking any pressure, and he's going to go ahead and snipe a few SCVs.
Yeah, well, the comsat timing was a little bit shallow from Sharp. He's kind of min-maxing, made the comsat in the main, and then delayed making the one in the natural. So it takes him a lot longer to identify the third base on location.
Oh, he saw it. He saw it over at the center right with the fire bat, actually. So he knew about it for quite a while.
Okay, then
but didn't push out.
Then I would say that is a little bit of a mistake, because also Hero is very well known for cutting his Muta production to squeeze out a few more drones at this stage. So yeah, a little bit maybe of a mistake here from Sharp, or maybe just being a little bit timid in how he approaches the game. Needs to be very careful. Now, only 2 medics here against this many Mutas. Eventually, they will be drained of their energy. Just going to be going in, forcing us to him, backing out over and over again. Eventually, there'll be no energy on those medics, and he'll start to bully these Marines all day long.
You can see the follow-up here from Sharp. Going to be a Valkyrie play, but we've already got the Hydralisk Den done. And Lurker upgrade should be on the way here for Hero. I really like the timings that are coming out of him. He's gotten away with a lot here, and he's going to push that advantage as far as he possibly can.
Yeah, this is looking really Hero favored right now. I'm a little bit concerned for Sharp. He's missed any possible window he had of punishing the semi-greed of Hero, I would call it. It's not like full-on greed, but it's like a little bit on the greedier side as far as Zerg's concerned. So without being able to identify that and punish that, I feel like he's really falling behind in this game. And inversely, Hero going to be able to tech into Lurkers and Hive real soon here. So unless Sharp can just come out onto the map in an explosion right now, bully back these Mutas and get into a position, I don't think he's going to be feeling very happy in this game for much longer.
Well, this is some great trading from Hero. Sniping down a lot of Marines. Sharp is having a really hard time engaging with this, and still 11 Mutas here. I've yet to see any Mutas fall. And Hero's doing a great job of trading out the low HP ones and continuing to just hammer down this Marine medic count. Soon we're going to have a Valkyrie on the field, and that'll be the one moment here for Sharp where he could potentially shove out and threaten that third base, but that window is quickly closing as Hydras are making their way out onto the field. We're very soon going to have the Lurkers coming out here to reinforce these positions, and I don't know if he has enough Marines to actually push out anymore.
Yeah, he's only got 1 Valkyrie. He needs 2 to really be safe against these Mutas, because he actually can. Wow, that's a lot of Lurkers being made. So he actually is going into a tank push as well. He will be doing just maybe a single 1 or 2 tank push here, but it's not going to be strong enough. Like, Hero is going to bully enough of these Marines that there's not going to be a critical mass left enough to push back the Lurkers. Like, he'll just have to slowly inch his way across the map at that point, and he hasn't got vessels for a while, so he has to keep scanning for that as well, so it'll take him eons to get across the map.
Everything just too slow here for Sharp. Hero's going to push right up into the front with these Lurkers and dare Sharp to push back. I mean, the Marine count is so low right now. He's just going to try and run forward and maybe dive on those Lurkers when they're unburrowed, but the moment that they burrow down, he's got to back up. These Lurkers are buying so much time right now as the Defiler mound gets thrown down. Hero is just waiting on that next layer of tech before he ends this game, because Sharp is just not making any progress right now. Tanks siege up. He may be able to kill a Lurker or 2. No. Hero 2 on top of everything. He pulls stuff back, and right as all of this crosses the bridges, I think this will be the moment for Hero to pull the trigger. He runs forward here. There's not a lot of area to run back to. He does a pretty decent job of evading the Lurker spines, but most of the Marines are gone, and here's some Scourge to deal with the Valkyries as well. The tanks are going to go down to the Mutas. Perfectly done here by Hero as he clears up this entire attack, and he moves into this next stage. There's the Defiler mound. This is just about over.
Yeah, this is flawless execution from Hero, making a bad situation even worse for Sharp, and knowing how to like make the best use. He's even going to go in with the Lurkers here. He knows there's not enough to protect this bunker. He doesn't even need to wait for Defilers here, and you'll see this a lot when Zergs get into this position. They're this far ahead. They'll just run in with Battle Zerg and not even wait for Defilers and put you on a clock of death. And unless you've got the exact amount of units and spells needed to deal with this, you're just going to straight up die. And he doesn't. He's got hardly anything. He's barely squeezing out units right now. And now here the Defilers are. So this is going to be the checkmate 1-2 punch.
Doesn't even wait for the orange cloud of death. He taps out immediately upon seeing that Defiler arrive at his natural. It's the right choice. game was over. Hero got away with a little bit too much. Sharp feeling a little timid to punish there, honestly. Yeah. Not really Sharp's MO. I'm a little bit surprised. He's usually, right up on top of every player he faces. Maybe, that semifinals between him and Hero kind of ringing in his mind, remembering how hard it was to fight Hero in those games and allowing that to affect his decision making here in this game. I don't know. What do you think, Shin?
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's some psychological aspects to that, for sure. I'm a little bit confused about it. Maybe he was just weirded out by Hero and maybe thought that Hero would go for a bit more of an aggressive style, despite taking that on base location third. But I still feel like with his build order, he should have tried to apply more pressure to Hero for sure. He definitely appeared a lot more timid than usual.
All right, let's jump into our next game. We've still got Stork in the background. He's going to be going up against Hero. Let's see if Protoss will last much longer. Or are we going to get that amazing Hero versus Light final? Let's find out. All right. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Hero versus Stork. Man, I can hardly imagine a more one-sided matchup.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be
in
a
the highest
historic
level
game.
The highest level of Starcraft Broodwar. I recently watched Effort in a pro league kill one of his early drones and beat Stork. And then he did it twice. If you guys haven't seen that video yet,
I have. Effort's a monster, man.
It was a little bit rough. Effort is indeed a monster, but that's gotta hurt as a highly regarded pro player to get worked like that. That's something else.
Yeah, is that BM?
It's another level.
Is that BM or is that like handicapping yourself to like give the old man a chance? I don't know.
I don't think that was done out of respect, if that's what you're asking me.
No, I don't think so either.
Or reverence for the player. No, certainly not. But Hero not going to take an L here. He's not going to handicap himself in this game. He's just going to open up with a very economical build here. Grabbing that hatchery right away. There will be an opportunity for Stork to maybe put on some pressure with this gateway first.
Yeah, there's always that opportunity, especially with the... Yeah, he's playing ultra safe, by the way. This is like the ultra safe way of playing this build. Yeah, this is...
I'm very confused.
Unless he wants to cannon rush. He wants to cannon rush and zealot rush. He wants to do both.
Okay, now it makes sense. Yeah, I was kind of shocked at seeing the forge there, but he's going to throw down that second pylon. He's going to set up for this cannon rush. As the Zealot comes across the map, it'll be really, really hard to get drones over this wall because the Zealot is going to mess everything up. Throws down a third pylon here. A little bit of a mistake from Hero. He's not able to get anything over this wall. He's kind of messing this up. Cannon starts. Dude, this is going to work out really well for Stork right now. Is this the one way that Stork could potentially take this game?
I want to see
He might have found that one thing.
He's not going to be turned into oil today saying the Dinotos is back and he's got teeth.
Oh, he blocks it. He blocks the sunken colony here. He blocks the creep here. Down, the second cream. Okay, does he cancel? No, he starts the sunken immediately. Can that be hit by the cannon? He's hitting the sunken on the left, running forward with the Lings. He gets on top of that probe. He gets rid of the probe here. Oh, targets it down immediately.
Yep.
Second sunken colony going to finish up here soon. Will he target the Zealot? Okay, goes after the Zealot rather than the cannon. The second cannon finishes. Oh my goodness. Does he have what it takes? Does he have the DPS here to deal with that cannon? He gets one of them. One more Zealot shows up. Can he kill the Sunken Colony here? One more shot. He gets it. 6 HP. Oh my goodness.
This is absolute
6
insanity
HP is
right
crazy.
now. Yeah, absolute insanity. Another Zealot will come down, and he actually can flank and kill this Sunken with both, but the problem is there's so many Lings here now, so that won't become an eventuality. So instead, we're going to be seeing him targeting down this... he needs to kill his own pylon so that he can't then shift click on to the he can get the probe out maybe, but this is actually really bizarre. Like... I don't think he's going to get
He's going to get it.
Yeah, he's going to get this. So I don't think... I'm trying to calculate, like, how is Stork actually in a pretty good spot now? Like, he's got his Nexus on the way. He's got 3 Zealots in the wall. Hero's going to take his 3rd. I'm trying to think, is this game reset itself to... Or is there a slight edge in one way? I guess slightly... Maybe slightly hero favored, actually, because Stork's actually supply blocked.
I would imagine that Stork would be behind from here. He does have another Zealot walking around the left-hand side. He's going to bait. Oh, no, that's not a Zealot. It's a probe. Is he going to cannon rush this as well?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, this is dirt. This is filthy. Oh, my goodness. This is horrible. But he might actually get away with this, man. He's going to build a pylon back here. He's going to start to build the cannons over at the 3rd. You have to send one Ling over here. You cannot just allow this to happen to you. You will lose this hatchery if he throws 2 cannons down.
Yeah.
This is gonna go down for sure. Oh man, this is bad. Hero handled this rush almost perfectly, but is he just gonna die to the follow-up?
I mean, he might. The Lings are now going to go back, so he will come down here and check. I think... Oh, he's not even going to go back and check with a Ling. No. Oh, okay, I think he's definitely going to lose the hatchery. Yeah, this is rough.
If he loses the hatchery, it's not the absolute end of the world, but it'll be so Stork favored at that point. It's going to be disgustingly hard to come back.
Yeah.
Zealots coming across the map right now are taking all of Hero's attention. He's not even paying attention to this hatchery, and the cannons are just going to finish up before he even knows what's happening. He's going to end up losing this hatchery. There it is. He sees it now, but the cannons are already done. Dude, this is so bad right now. This is crazy. I mean, wow. I've been in this exact position before as a hero, but you never expect to see it out of a pro player.
Yeah, I mean, you don't usually see it. I mean, maybe Stork's had enough of getting bullied on the ladder, and now he's finally coming out with his real power level and just starts chomping on them. He's like the lion that you bother for a long time, and eventually he comes out and reminds you why he's a lion.
Is this really his final form, Stork? Because I mean, this is something else. We're gonna get in there with the Zealots. Zealots are gonna see the Hydralisk Den. Of course, you need Hydralisk Den. There's been so much craziness going on this game. But the hatchery goes down in the bottom left. He's just gonna remake a new hatch over at, on the high ground here. But now it's for sure Stork is definitely in a much better spot than Hero.
Oh, absolutely.
Very Stork favorite.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even have a strong Hydra timing, even though it did get scoured because he lost that hatchery. So he doesn't have the kind of production that he needs to build a crazy amount of Hydras to overwhelm Stork despite being scouted. So everything kind of going against Hero right now, so he might transition into a much more standard game as a result. He does have a fair few units, so he might still consider some kind of bust timing, but I'm not too sure about that. Cleaning up these Zealots is nice, though, at least. But yeah, like having this 3rd so far delayed, like you have to think that Stork's in a favored position.
Yeah, he's even going to add on a 3rd cannon, maybe even a 4th. It doesn't really matter if he just adds on a bunch of cannons. Oh, the follow-up here is completely scouted. 4 Gateway Zealot. This man is filthy. Oh my gosh. There's nothing behind this except for just pure Zealots plus 1 attack. And he's just going to try and bowl Hero over. This is the... You don't have Mutalisks, so I'm just going to win with Zealots build here.
I don't think dinosaurs need showers, Say. I don't think he minds being covered in mud, oil, and the blood of his enemies right now as he's starting to chomp through these absolutely highest echelon players. Needs to be careful, though. He is trying to pick off 1 or 2 of these Hydras without losing too much. Has got that 4th cannon finally warping in. He also can see exactly how many Hydras are chilling in that location. That's why Hero's trying to hide the majority of those Hydras on the high ground, and the rest of those Lings to try and obfuscate just how critical of a force he has. has got to muster, so that at one point he could just surge into everything. Oh, it's got drones on the rally point. Needs to be able to catch those and get those back to mining. Right now, every drone is key, so hopefully he can get those drones back to mining, because so far I think there's 2 drones making their way up here.
Yeah, those drones are not going to be part of this economy, and it's rough. There we go. He finally sends them back. He's not going to be able to make as many Hydras as he would otherwise be able to, and there's a real possibility that Stork can just A-click Zealots across the map and win. Spire starts. Okay, he's going to try and switch into the Spire, but okay, this is interesting. He's going to stand on the top of the high ground here with a big
that was a great setup.
Spread of Lings. Yeah, a really great setup there. Makes it very hard for the Zealots to trade. They don't have +1 just yet, so he's probably just going to wait for that. Still, coming up that ramp is not going to be easy for Stork.
Yeah, that's the kind of like positioning I would imagine like an AI take to kind of like counter you trying to get up a ramp. Just having like the Lings like perfectly concaved and like just coming around for a nice beautiful surface area surround to kind of mitigate the fact that you got a critical number of units here. And he's getting pretty good trades on these. And if he gets out with the Hydras as well, this is going to be looking pretty good for Hero. He is only on 36 supply to 66 though. He's desperately hoping that these mutas will clean things up. That will stabilize the game for him. But he's got to live until then. He's got to still be able to, you know, not take any critical damage until that happens. So far, so good for him. He hasn't lost anything. There is now a DT out on the map. If he can keep that hidden from the Overlord, that's going to be great. But he's actually running right by the Overlord. So if Hero's looking, he's going to know exactly where those DTs are, and will make it much harder to get value out of them. Although that they can shut down expansions out on the map being set up by Hero right now to make sure that he is only on 3 base at the very least. But with this Mutalisk transition and him only going pure Templar, he's going to have to start making Archons. I think he just did morph in an Archon now. He's going to need at least 2 Archons to be able to keep pushing here.
Oh shit, and I got a big smile on my face right now because I think that Hero's going to be able to navigate this back into a win somehow.
Yeah, maybe.
Some way with these Mutas coming out on the field. No real anti-air aside from this one Archon. He's going to dive right on top of this Templar. Beautiful. That's a free kill. Gets rid of the Storm potential here from Stork, and with a bunch of Sunkens and a lot of Hydras, he should be able to deal with this. He's even getting on top of the Dragoon right now. He's going to pick that off. He's going to get to work on these Zealots. Hydras are going to come up to deal with the Archon as it comes forward. As long as he just gets in the way of the Archon here and doesn't allow it to get on top of these Mutas, he should be okay. He's just trading out some Sunken colonies right now. He will start to lose a few drones, but wait a minute. I guess he doesn't have enough Hydras. Oh, he cheats. 3 big shots there from the Archons.
Yeah, 2 big sonic shockwaves hitting those Mutas.
That was rough.
Yeah, he lost so many drones as well. He target fired the drones on the exit drill as well. He killed a lot of drones and a lot of gas damage on those gas units of the Mutas, making them a little bit less effective in the coming stages. Although so far he has been able to re-drone and force this force away, so it's not looking too bad for Hero respectively, because Hero has the benefit of that right now. There's no anti-muta defense besides the cannons and Templar. So having to make Archons and have Templar left over to Storm is a bit of an ask right now from Stork. So he's got a little bit of a breathing room of about 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, where not much is going to happen. So if he can now use this critical junction of the game, completely stabilize himself, squeeze out the drones that he needs, make a few more Sunkens, get out some critical infrastructure, maybe even getting some Lurkers out, and then he would be in a much better position.
That was a very tight hold there, but luckily those Mutas survived and they were able to clean up everything. There's still a big threat on the map here. He's created a few more, and he's actually going to go for some kills on some probes now. Ooh. Start to even out this overall worker deficit that he had earlier. Dragoon's moving forward. He's looking for potential snipes on Templar now. There's really nothing to deal with these aside from these cannons and Templar. So I don't know. Hero's still got a shot here. We're close in the overall supply. I was getting really scared when I saw the number of Hydras in that last attack. I thought he was going to have a lot more to be able to come up and assist that base, but he just hardly had anything. But he still managed to make it work. And dude, if Stork loses this game, like, what are we even gonna call him? Like, we can't call him the Dinosaur Toss anymore. We're gonna come up with a new name.
I don't know what is more ancient than a dinosaur saying, like Big Bang Toss.
I don't know. He's gotta. I think dinosaur sounds too badass at this point. Like we need to come up with something a little bit softer, a little bit weaker.
Amino
Like
acid.
he's like a wiffle. This guy's like a wiffle bat just attacking Hero right now. Even though he's powered up so much, he's barely able to even deal any damage.
Yeah, no, it's kind of rough, honestly. And yeah, against someone of Hero's caliber, even if you are in a good spot, it's going to be tough winning. But there's not a huge amount of units here, just some lurkers, and that's a beautiful storm. And if he can clean up these mutas with some good placed storms, this might be a breakable position for him. He actually might be able to come in here and do this. He's still got some teeth to him. Yes, he's an absolute relic of a player. That's why they call him the Dino Toss. And he was calling him the Dino Toss like a decade ago plus. So you can imagine I don't even know what he is now, like you say. But yeah, these Dragoons are getting pretty good value, and Dragoons, like siege tanks, when positioned well, can really hammer on Zerg. And if you get on top of the rally point area and you can start killing the units as they come out of the hatcheries and can't join forces with the other hatchery production, you can get into great spots here. Look at this absolute beast of a Protoss player. He's ancient, saying, and he's chomping out an ASL champion contender that was in the finals. What are we seeing here today?
He gets the clapper. My goodness, is that what we're giving out the clapper for these days? That sort of cheese play. I am disappointed that we saw Hero get taken out by that type of play. After the hold, he held that crazy Zealot plus Cannon cheese from Stork. He doesn't send a Ling to the third. One Ling will kill that. One Ling will stop that. He had like 12 Lings, but he doesn't bother to send one Ling to the third. It puts him so far behind. Oh,
we just don't expect it.
What
at
a
this level
miserable
of play usually, right?
defeat.
So
That
it's
is
like,
wild.
yeah, sometimes these weird plays will catch you off guard because players don't do them, you don't expect them. So it's kind of weird how it's like that horseshoe effect that Artosis talks about. Sometimes you do something that's so bad it's good, but sometimes these pro players are doing it deliberately. They're doing bad things deliberately because they know it will work because it's so bad you wouldn't expect me to do it.
Right. That's like, it's really like a C rank build, guys.
Yeah.
If you go on to Broodwar right now, you log into Battle.net, and you play a bunch of games as Zerg, you're bound to run into that at about a C rank level. I mean, it's basically phased out by B rank, am I right?
I would say so. I mean, you don't see it that often. Yeah, that's for sure. It's hard to execute. If you do get caught off guard by it, it can be devastating as a Zerg player, obviously. But that's the point. As a Zerg player, you should be kind of dotting your I's, crossing your T's at those very critical early points of the game so that you're not getting caught. And you have got a Ling going around to the back of your mineral patches and checking to make sure there's nothing shady going on.
Yeah, I'm not talking specifically about just cannon rush. I'm talking about cannon rushing your third base. Just building cannons back there when you don't have vision.
I mean, I always have a Link checking my third base just because I'm so used to it from like the fighting spirit era. It's like you're so yeah you just kind of like have to, right? Like you just that's the one thing you do every game.
You have to, yeah, because just like what we saw there, if 2 or 3 cannons get up and that base dies, you just don't have any production. You can't drone up. You can't get into a reasonable mid game. It's impossibly hard. Even Hero can't pull himself out of that deficit. What is Stork going to come up with to take on Light? I was expecting a beautiful Hero versus Light game for our finals. What kind of chaos are we going to get out of Stork here in this last
Carriers,
game?
please.
If it's not carriers, then I mean, I can't imagine what it would possibly be. Guys, stay tuned. We're going to find out.
We're having like Stork versus Light. This is going to be interesting. Like, one or two things will happen. Either Stork will get smashed by Light, or we'll see like a really interesting, crazy game, and I'm going to be like laughing and enjoying it. Because this is like, I mean, Stork and Light know each other a lot. Like, they're very familiar with each other.
Mm. All right, here we go. Shun thinks that this game is going to be crazy and interesting. I think this is going to be an absolute stomp. Who's going to be right here? I'm I'm honestly hoping that I'm wrong, but let's see what happens.
Well, I did say one or two things could happen. Either he gets stomped or it will be crazy and interesting. So I do still consider the possibility of, like, yeah, Stork could just get slapped down here. It is possible. But, I mean, Stork, these guys go way back. I mean, decades and decades back. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm super excited to see it nonetheless. It's a, you know, kind of like a blast from the past for me. I would never expect to see Stork versus Light on a serious setting in many cases, and we're seeing that here today, and I'm excited for it. It's a bit of a nostalgic exhibition match between these two players, and there's some money on the line and bragging rights. And if Stork can take out Light here after taking out Hero, I think that'll give him a lot more of a confidence boost, and maybe, you know, shut down a few of the naysayers and realize that maybe he's just not trying too hard on the ladder, and he's, like, you know, preserving his energy. He's got that old man energy he needs to worry about, right? So he needs to, like, conserve himself, and then he goes, like, you know, full 100% when it actually comes time to it.
Okay. Well, Light versus Stork ASL 18 finals. What is the over/under on that? Is it 1,000 to 1 or 10,000 to 1? What do you think?
No. Trust me, if the odds were that on this game, I'd be throwing money at Stork. I'd be all over that bet. You know what I mean?
No, I'm saying, what are the chances that we would have?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh, Light ASL finals.
That makes way. Yeah, no, that's even more. That's like 1 in a million almost. That's like, yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening at all.
No, that is not happening, and not in this world, that's for sure. Maybe in another dimension.
Another timeline.
Another timeline. Well, Light here, he's just going to be chilling. He's going to be cruising.
Yeah.
About 3:30 APM. Stork around 400, but he usually plays around 250 once the game really gets going. One of the slower players in the pro scene right now, but makes up for it with his interesting builds and his overall understanding of the game. Can he utilize both of those two skills, though, to take an advantage over Light? Light, obviously, one of the players who understands this matchup along with all the Terran matchups at a higher level than most.
Yeah, I actually think Light will be one of the few guys not underestimating Stork, and that's going to be critical going forward, because the reason why some of these good players can lose to someone like Stork is because they are underestimating him, and he's a very capable player. Like, his level of experience, it cannot be denied. This guy was King of Silver, which means he came second place all the time, which means he was pretty damn good.
Yeah, he is a very strong player, and his overall control and decision making is really, really strong. Very nice control so far from Light, though, just staying barely out of range of this Dragoon while taking shots with the Vulture. That's not easy to do, but we'll abandon that venture here as he's just sends this out onto the map to try and obfuscate. How much HP left on that Vulture, though? It's getting pretty low, and Stork's going to be looking to pick that off. He's chasing it down right now.
Yeah, it's good to be very active out on the map this early on when you can, and you don't have to worry about any timings or putting pressure onto the other player because your range is slow. So I like the use of chasing down this Vulture, maybe catching it if it does try and go into the top left to hide. There's a chance that Terran players might make that mistake of, not necessarily keeping their Vulture with at least 2 lanes of retreat, and sometimes can get caught in the early game. I like players that both understand how to keep their Vultures alive and also how to hunt them down and have a high chance at killing that.
I like the SCV being sent out as well to just repair this Vulture, make sure that it's at full strength here before the mines come into play. Going to be just setting up very defensive and scouting mines around to make sure he's got eyes on where Stork is at all times and when he's going to be taking these bases coming up. Very good play here from Light so far. He's not able to get in over at the 12 o'clock. Dragoon already in position here. Stork, nicely done, taking out this mine before having even an observer out on the field. Did he skip observer here, though?
I'm not sure.
Will he be popping that out soon?
I'm not sure if he's rushing Citadel Tech or if he's going just normal Robo. I haven't seen into the main base yet, but I would say that Light is in a pretty good spot right now. Like all things considered, like he was mining a lot earlier in his natural expansion, for example. Like everything's just slightly crisper for Light than you would usually see in a Terran versus Protoss. So we do see Stork setting up to take a pretty on-curve third base, and he's doing it very safely. He's making the wall before even like making the Nexus. So yeah, Stork's going to be playing very conservatively, it seems, and very standard, whereas Light is cutting a few corners in the early game just to squeeze out a bit of a positional advantage. So I would say overall this does favor Light.
Anytime I see the Terran player Light in an even spot against a player such as Stork, I feel like he is in a bit of an advantage. He is so good at maneuvering from an even position. Even from a deficit, he's scary, but from an even position, I feel like it's even worse. Now, Stork is just kind of clearing out mines here. He's opening up lanes for potential counterattack paths, but Light has hidden his army out on the map, and Stork is kind of panicking right now. He's not really sure where this is going. And I tell you, if this army makes its way over to the top left onto the wall that is bordering on that third base, it gets really tough to break that position. That wall right there is an amazing place to set up your tanks, and it looks like Light is actually going to get there unhindered. This is very bad for Stork right now.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't identified this until just now, and this does give him like the best chance of both engaging the army and also retreating safely. So at the very least, and he won't lose anything. But Stork's on top of things, actually. He doesn't get caught by the Vulture run by while distracted on the left, so not getting confused by the 1-2 punch combination of Light so far. Trying to lay down mines desperately in the wake of these goons, but so far Stork doing a pretty good job of skirmishing back and sniping some of these mines and not taking too many losses here. So I think overall this is a pretty good defense and deflection from Stork, but the game state still kind of remains more or less the same. Not really, but he could catch the probe transfer here if he's not careful. Stork wisely pulling some of those probes back, realizing that there's still an active threat of vultures between that transition point, so wants to be very careful in how he tries to saturate his economy here and not risk any, like some pro players just send their probes to mine and not think about it and then just lose all their probes for free. But Stork being wise here, just inching out across the map, cleaning out all the mines, and also bodyguarding these probes to the third base to make sure he doesn't lose too many of them.
Does lose a few, but I am pleasantly surprised by Stork's play thus far. He has really handled this beautifully. And the way that he was pulling back his Dragoons in that fight over by his third base was absolutely perfect. Ooh, Vultures are going to get into the natural right now, and some probes will end up getting lost. We have a couple of Dragoons here to clear that up, but he lost like maybe 3-4 probes. I mean, not the end of the world, but any small advantage here for Light is pretty darn brutal. I was really expecting, I'll tell you right now, Shin, I was really expecting Light to set up along that wall with his tanks, with a bunch, like a siege line over there, and just put mines, and then control the entrance to the base. Because I've seen Terran players do that. Specifically, I saw Flash do that recently, where he set up along that wall, and then utilized... Actually, he had a floating building in that game, and he utilized the floating building to kill the pylons that were blocking, and then he ran vultures in to kill off all the probes, and it worked absolutely fantastic. But Light seemed to be much less committal. He just wanted to kind of threaten there with the vultures and tanks and not really set up and take a real fight.
It was a much smaller force and earlier on in the game, so you don't really have the luxury of having that like crazy amount of tanks set up to make that work. You only had like 3 tanks there, so he was a bit limited on the resources available to set up something like that to take full advantage of it. So yeah, I think that's why Stork was able to bat away any attempts at a play like that. There just wasn't enough units in position to set it up, or a floating building to take advantage of that setup. So unfortunately not able to get anything done with that. And yeah, like you say, Stork in a pretty good spot in this game, and this is what I was hoping for and what I was expecting. Like I know a lot of players are bashing Stork on the ladder and on streams right now, but I'm telling you, this guy is more than meets the eye. All right, he's still got teeth. He might be a fossil, but he's still got teeth.
Even fossils have teeth.
Yeah.
A third command center coming out here. Light gonna slowly push forward, but he's taking some damage from these Reavers. Another good shot here would be big, but Stork just backing away. He's content to slow down a little bit this tank push forward. As long as he keeps the Reavers alive and a threat here, he's going to actually pull all the way back. So he's just going to give up this third base position. He's going to let Light take that while he tries to take a base in the top left. He doesn't really have anything over there right now. He hasn't even set up a pylon wall yet. There's a potential that Light could shut that down while he takes this third, but Stork is going to start to try and stretch out into that top left area as well.
And he's approaching this totally differently to that Zerg versus Protoss. This is very methodical, slow, conservative way of playing Protoss. Like, he could be taking this expansion like way earlier. This is very on curve with what you'd expect to see in a Terran versus Protoss. So Stork's not like doing anything shady in this game. This is just pure, straight up, like beautiful textbook play, and what he's very experienced in doing. Wants to be able to get himself into that mid to late game range where he can then start to do some late game, either a carrier switch would be nice, or he could even just like, go into like arbiter play here. Can be quite good on this map, but even just shuttle play at these like 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock bases, the how tight that circle is, it's easy to come in there with speed shuttles and just like storm drop or what have you on those expansions. So here comes some Zealot bombs onto these back row tanks, and now a big flood of infantry from the frontal as well. Stork trying to do a best here, just bowl over the Terran position. There is still a strong ridgeline presence though of about 7 or 6 tanks set up here, but the Reavers are still in the fight just for a few more moments before finally being taken out by Light. So this attack has been squashed here by Light, but did reset the tank count a little bit, but overall the trade went slightly Light's way.
No, the pylon wall still here over in the top left. Going after the CC right now. Can he actually get this? Oh no, the repair is there. He will be able to save it. Well done by Light. Yeah, that was an interesting timing there from Stork. It was all gearing up to that moment. The Zealot speed finished at just the precise time when he was ready to go in. He had that extra shuttle just arrived to set up for the Zealot bomb, but it doesn't end up pushing through. Light having a little bit too good of a position on top of that high ground and a few too many tanks. I don't know what Stork really could have done better there to make that one work. It really felt like a numbers game that Light just had too good of a position and too many tanks and vultures to make that happen there.
Yeah, it seems so sane. And now we see gateways being set up. Oh, the probe transfer though being caught by these vultures. We'll be losing a handful of probes here. I think only like 2 though are going to be going down, so nothing too significant. But we're also going to be wanting to set up these gateways in the top left, get additional rally point going, so it doesn't really matter too much if the Terran encroaches on his position a little bit in the later phases of the game. He wants to be able to keep multiple lanes of attack open and reinforce from both sides of the map, and also have some high Templars in the top left pocket to defend that position by making Templars cost efficiently. It takes so long to get Templars across the map, so being able to make Templars in these remote locations can make it much easier to defend against the Terran pushes that come later on. Is still having a hard time protecting these probes on the transfer to this base in the top left. He's going to go for it now again. If Light was on top of things, maybe he could just snipe some of these probes.
Oh, he's gonna get a lot of these probes, my friend. Tons of them going down right now. He's gonna try and block with the probe, but there's no pylon wall on the side here. All the probes are gonna go down, and this is an amazing trade for Light right now. Getting a little bit ahead of himself was Stork, sending these probes before clearing out all the mines and getting the Dragoons in position. Now he is in a desperate spot here. Light is just going to power up and do a massive push, I think, across the map very soon.
That was a pretty big turning point in the game here, losing that much economy, and maybe a little bit unnecessarily as well. Had the units in position to come and help that, but maybe we just have to suck up the little bit slower transfer. But he was already so far delayed that he got a little bit impatient there and paid the price. So really on top of things is Light in making sure he can create opportunities to then exploit, and that's what you want to see from like a really high tier Terran player, both creating your own opportunities and taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you.
Really well set up there by Light. He's setting up mines every time Stork leaves an area. He's moving into position to set up more mines, and with this 4th base coming online and an amazing SCV count that he's managed to establish, this army is going to continue to swell and grow, and there's not too much that Stork can do about it. Looks like he wants to dive in and maybe pick off a few tanks here and trade out some of this army, but I tell you, this is one of the best setup defenses I have seen for a while from Terran. This is going to be so hard to push into. Look at all the tanks above the ridge line on the right-hand side. The Storm's actually getting taken out here before they can even be cast. A lot of those Templar get picked off by the Vultures, and man, that was a horrible trade for Stork.
Yeah, that went about as bad as it could for Stork without losing his entire army. Ian Pete went down, and Vultures target firing and body blocking those High Templars to snipe them off very cost efficiently before they could even get in position. Now going to be doing a little drop play in the 12 o'clock as well, but not actually getting a lot done with that. Is like a little bit too multitasking out of his mind right now, trying to get everything squared away in the southern regions of the map, making sure he's like macroing like a madman, securing more positions, setting himself up for another expansion eventually. Stork is currently going to be going up to 6 bases, so eventually he will have the macro to keep up with Light, but the reality is that as long as Light can keep growing and replacing those bases, he gets mined out, he's still going to be in a great spot. And this damage in the main base is the kind of things that he needs to do to both stay ahead in the game and like kind of do what he wants right now. Like, there's not really anything that can punish him. There's no recalls to worry about. There's not enough shuttles to do any like poor man recalls. He's now able to harass while growing, and this is the kind of the place you want to be in StarCraft. If you can put pressure onto your opponent while growing and expanding and macroing, that's exactly where you want to be.
10 supply advantage for Light. Shun, this is getting rough.
It's getting rough.
Stork had some opportunities in this game. He had a timing that he thought he could make work against this monstrous Terran player, but he rammed his head into a wall, and now the wall just got tougher and tougher. It's like an anti-fragile wall. Every time he smashes himself into it, it just gets stronger. And pretty soon, it won't be him smashing into it anymore. He'll just be smashing his own body rather than smashing through the wall. Oh my goodness, this tank shot's going to be huge. 7 kills. Oh my god, that was insane. A huge amount of damage, and 10 probes have been lost here. Absolutely worth it for that one single tank. Drop into the top left as well. Going after the Templar. 2 Templar are going to go down very, very quickly, and a few more probes fall as well. Light pulling out all the moves here. The double drop is insanely difficult to do while macroing all of this at the same time. Still going for 2 drops and harassing, but he's making it happen.
Yeah, I mean, Stork just fanning the flames of Light here, helping him to burn even brighter, catching the shuttle down here as well. Everything is going well for Light. He's just playing absolutely like a machine right now, and he's in his element. Meanwhile, Stork also maxed out, but not quite in the moral position that he wants to be in this game. Like, his morale is kind of like crippling at the moment. He can't quite find himself into a favorable position. Every time he tries to do something, he's just getting caught out of position by Light, who just seems to be everywhere right now. All the I's have dotted, all the T's are crossed, and now Light is going to be setting up for taking another base in the 6 o'clock position, keeping up with the macro powerhouse of the Protoss player, and kind of shutting down any opportunities to get any effective trades onto these siege tanks. Will make it very difficult to combat the Terran in any kind of frontal engagements, and without recalls, without carriers, I don't see how Stork's going to navigate this into a win, at least in the coming minutes.
Yeah, where are the carriers this game, man? Stork, you really thought that you could just Zealot Dragoon your way to a victory here versus Light? Whoa. Better men have tried. That is so many tanks.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the tide of red here just flowing across the map like rivers of blood coming up here. That's a big chunk of tanks, man. If you get a few good storms on that, could be devastating, but really, how devastating could it actually be? Even if we have the most amazing storms ever, can it even come close to dealing with this army? I just don't think so. 160 supply to 190. Things are trading out so well for Light here. I think that we're just about to see Stork tap. He is just getting absolutely eviscerated.
Yeah, the red curtain is starting to close on Stork's encore here. It's not looking good, unfortunately. His old bones not quite able to keep up with the slightly fresher Light, who's both grizzled, experienced, and still a little bit younger, a little bit more with that youthful energy that you need to stay on top of it in a game like StarCraft. And he's just kind of getting outplayed here, unfortunately. But I have to say, he's making it to a 20-minute game against someone of Light's caliber. Still a pretty impressive performance from Stork, all things considered.
All things considered, I'm feeling a little bit robbed here. Like that Light Hero finals that I was hoping for is not going to materialize. Stork, you really had to do it to him, huh? You had to go for the cannon rush in that last game, and this is what we get at the end. It's going to be a Terran victory. 99% sure of it at this point. 99.99% sure of it, in fact.
Yeah, it was pretty.
And I mean, those are some great storms, but what can we even say at this point? There's just way too much Terran.
Yeah, even with great execution, it's just so hard to mop up all these Terran units effectively. Like, if there was carriers out on the map, or maybe arbiters to get some great, like, massive blobs of stasis onto these tanks or something, maybe he could navigate his way into a hold and eventually secure some kind of foothold in this game again. But as it's looking right now, he's going to be all the way up in his business, containing the rally point until pretty good storms on these tanks, holding the Terran threat at bay, but currently even on supply, despite drying up all those tanks, which still favors the Terran player. Some more shuttles coming in to keep bombing onto these tanks. So Stork is trying everything in his power to hold on just for a few more moments. Maybe he can mount some kind of comeback of a defense here, but it's not looking good still. There's still too many tanks in reserve making their way downtown to set up this contain in the top left. With great shuttle usage and no Goliaths here, maybe something can be done, but it's going to be a really hard, insurmountable mountain to climb. Like, you have to be like Sisyphus level of mentality to overcome this.
Yeah, this is 3 tanks go down and 5 replace them every single time. He knocks off 1 group of tanks. More are coming forward to just overwhelm this position, and Stork is starting to break out here from the natural, but with way too few units. He just doesn't have enough here, and I mean, Light's just going to push right up into this top left main. Sometimes that can be like a rough move that could throw a game that's a little bit closer, but with this number of units, he's dropping probes on top of the tanks right now, dude. What am I saying?
He wants to splash down the other tanks and force them into an unsiege, but yeah, I mean, he's doing everything he can to try and hold on in this game. Like, I respect it. I mean, he's still even on supply. He's not trading too badly, but it's just so hard to overcome this poor positioning. He has got some units waiting in the wings outside his third base that could come down here and help clean up, but it's looking really difficult. He's trying to ferry them over with some shuttles to start bombing onto these tanks from that position to keep some kind of defense mustered here, but it's looking pretty bleak. There's only like 1 storm and like a handful of zealots to try and fight against all these tanks. Eventually, though, the other units coming in from behind maybe can start to mop up these tanks, but it's still looking difficult.
You say he's got some units mustered. I only see ketchup here, red everywhere on the map. What is Stork to do at this point, aside from just keep on bombing over and over and over again?
It's rough.
Did he actually stop the mining at 6 o'clock for a second?
Yeah, he did.
Oh my,
he did.
14 kills on this tank. Holy.
Yeah, Stork did make a play for 6 o'clock. He was attacking 6 while defending top left, so he did get something done there, but not enough still. He's 50 supply behind, more or less. He has got 9 o'clock starting to mine, but it's going to be very difficult getting these probes transferred over there. Like we see now, the interception has already occurred. Many probes falling to that Vulture raiding party, and it's looking more dire by the second as this game goes on. Finally, some Dragoons coming in to help try and clean up that, but they're now going to get sandwiched by the rally forces. GG finally going to be called, and Light going to be the guy to just seal the deal here. Finally put this dinosaur back under the ground so he can fossilize a little bit longer and eventually be used to power some sort of aircraft carrier or something.
Okay. The aircraft carrier got me.
Those things take a lot to run, you know? Oh shit.
My God. All right. Let me pull up the point ranking here for a second.
I just think that was a pretty good game, considering like he could have gone splat within 10 minutes against a good Terran, you know what I mean?
True.
I would have liked to see
Light showing him a lot of respect there, I think.
Yeah.
But the timing was all right. I looked at it, I was like, maybe he can do this? You know, when he was like set up with everything, he cleared out all the mines. There was like 2 mines maybe left. He had a huge clump of zealots.
Yeah.
And right as the bead finished, he like ran in with everything and bombed zealots on top of the siege tanks at the same time.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. He just can't do it like Best, man. He just can't quite make it happen like Best.
Yeah, honestly, that style does require a bit of finesse to get the most value out of it. It's one of the harder to execute styles of Protoss. Despite it being like an ape build, it actually does require a high level of execution to get the most out of it. That's why you see someone like Best like really outshine all the other Protoss players. He's just so good at it.
Right. All right, so let's just wrap up here.
Nice.
Okay, Terran grabs the win here, tying things up in the point rankings for Terran and Protoss. Still 0 on the board for Zerg. You wouldn't imagine.
No.
After watching the lineup and seeing the most recent ASL performances, like these guys are just not going to be able to take any points home. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, quite impressive for the Protoss lineup to pick up a little bit of pointage here as well, considering their lineup. So, yeah, all things considered, like, things are looking pretty good for Terran and Protoss, and Zerg just flatlining right now. I'm a little bit surprised about that. I want to see a big change from them in the coming weeks to have any kind of hope at keeping, like, a seed in the finals here. Otherwise, they're just going to be like, you know, confining themselves to a semi-finals showdown and then steal the finals again.
YSC really the big threat here today. The talk of the town. The MVP for Protoss.
Yeah,
taking down some really skillful opponents and in a pretty impressive way. Of course, he did get shut down hard by Sharp, but. I don't know. It seemed like his mental was broken there in that game by the early damage, and I think that can happen to the best of them.
Oh, absolutely. When you take that kind of crippling economic damage with that Vulture Drop killing, I think between 10 and 12 probes, I think it was, and the lost mining time, it's just such a big deficit to be in that it can be hard to claw your way out of that game, both in terms of the raw economic curve of the game and your mental state and your psychology going forward. Because when you're fighting against those kinds of like deficits, you're not just fighting to get an advantage anymore. You're fighting just to stay even remotely even. So it can feel kind of daunting where no matter what you do, you just kind of get shut down at like every junction and you're not quite able to curve out in the game. And for an inexperienced player that's not quite at the highest tier of play, you can just fall apart mentally like that.
You contrast that to, you know, what happened with Hero versus Stork, right? Stork got a massive advantage in the early game, and Hero calmly looked for opportunities to try and bring it back. And he, you know, he's doing really sick little moves like setting up a concave of Lings with Hydras behind at the top of the ramp to just take the best possible trade against Stork as he's moving out with the Zealots. Like, these are things that are potential comeback assisters. You know, these are things that could help him to bring the game back. And he's just finding every single little advantage that he can muster here to try and bring himself a little bit of a better opportunity to bring the game back. That's a championship level player for you. Someone who can mentally stand even though they're so far behind, even though they're having such a bad game, and their opponent is definitely in a huge advantage, being able to stand up to that, really, really impressive stuff. I'm so sad that we didn't see Hero versus Light in the finals, dude. Light, like you said, buried the dinosaur here, dug him up 1,000 years later, and he's going to use him for fuel for his tank army. His mech army will be fueled into the next 1,000 games here with all the oil that he's managed to accrue from that dinosaur. Good God.
Yeah, that's kind of wild, honestly. He did have a good showing for the first 2/3 of the game, I would say. Like, yeah, it's only when he started to botch his attacks that things went downhill really quick. He's not quite at the best level of execution with that gateway man style. It does require a little bit of finesse, and if you're not playing your absolute best, it can be very tricky to crack open those Terran fortifications, and that's why someone like Best is regarded so highly for it, because he can make an unbreakable position seem breakable. And unfortunately for Stork, that just didn't transpire, and there was no carrier switch or arbiters to slow down the pace of the game a bit. So unfortunately for him, just going to be dealt with. And I'm really excited to see how the lineups will look in the coming weeks, because if they're willing to throw out 3 names like that, YSC, Stork, and Motive in a lineup, I'm curious to see what the next week is going to look like in terms of who they choose to send out.
Yeah, they really weren't willing to put out the B lineup or the even, the A lineup. They were only willing to go for the S tier last season. I wonder what changed between this season and last season, or are we going to see those players come out again here for the rest of the weeks? There's a great chance that we could see Protoss in that top spot going to the finals. Another season of KCM. Guys, it's only week 2. We've still got plenty more weeks to go. Thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute blast here. I'm glad we got all the way to the end. That's always the outcome that we're looking for, although we don't always get there. It's awesome to have it here. We will see you guys in the next video, the next week of KCM. That's going to come out in just 1 week. See you guys there.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Boom. Nice. That was a good cast. I liked it. Good games.
All right.
You didn't get what you want, Sam, but it was nice. Not many people are going to see Stork versus Light, all right? Be happy.
Why'd they have to do it to my boy? Why do you have to do it to my boy? Hero got robbed, son. He got robbed.
He did. He did get robbed.
He got robbed. Damn.
But I was honestly impressed because, like, he made a really weird, bad situation still look very playable, and that's what you were saying. Like, that's what's so important. Like, to be a championship level player, you have to be able to do that. You have to not let it get you and just like find opportunities or create opportunities or navigate it and just get over it. Don't let it stress you.
Yeah.
It's really tough to do that.
For sure.
Really tough to do that at that level of play, though. It's so easy to get frustrated when things don't go your way. You know what I mean?
For sure. Absolutely. All right, man. It's 10 o'clock. I haven't eaten dinner yet. Meal's been sitting here waiting for me.
All right, man.
For quite some time. Thank you for being here, doing this.
My pleasure.
Good time.
Yeah, good time.
I will. I'll talk to you about maybe doing the podcast tomorrow.
Yeah. I got my cousin coming around at some point, so I'm not sure when you want to do it.
Okay.
But let me know.
Probably tonight your time. Is that when he's coming, or tomorrow morning your time? Either one.
Yeah, I don't know what would be ideal for that, because I only had like 6 hours sleep, and he's coming today, probably. So yeah, I'm not sure what would be better. Maybe the morning would be better.
Okay, I will contact you tomorrow morning, then your time.
Yeah.
And see what you're up to.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you then.
Talk to you then, buddy. Have a nice dinner.
Yeah.
Peace. Alright, guys. Thanks for tuning into the stream. Hope you enjoyed the games. It's been awesome. And I'll catch you guys on the flippity flip. Peace.